To be a little bit of rain in the forecast, but the weather and the temperature, it's warmer. All next week is going to get warmer. I'm loving it. And fresh back from last evening, the concert itself was awesome. I'll tell you about that coming up here shortly. Welcome to the Bill Michaels Show. Coach Bud, I was down at the Fiserv Forum last night. Coach Bud is gone. And some people in the Fiserv said they could kind of see it coming. Others said it's a shame. They really like him. He was a good guy, treated everybody really well. But nevertheless, Coach Budenholzer gone. The postseason record and the failure this past season ultimately led to his demise. Had they gone deeper into the postseason, maybe even to an Eastern Conference playoff, as far as the Eastern Conference finals, maybe he's still around. But glaring mistakes and glaring coaching discrepancies, and easily second guessed by not only pundits outside of Milwaukee, but also former players that have been there, done that, and won championships that have heavily criticized him, said they almost won a championship a few years ago in spite of Coach Budenholzer. So he is out as the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Brewers, wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. They fall yet again. And just in a place where offense is supposed to be prevalent, their offense is disgusting. Here we go again. That's why I said a few weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, I enjoy the ride because you just wait for it. You just wait for it. You get what you pay for in a lot of instances, and even so, when you do pay, sometimes you don't get anything. But that being said, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Get a hold of us on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can find Ben Kenny producing the program at Ben Z Kenny over on Twitter as well. Instagram and Facebook you can watch and pay attention to and all that kind of stuff. The Bill Michaels Show. The Bill Michaels Show on Instagram and Facebook. Subscribe for free over on YouTube, and you can watch the show every day. Watch the show, the huddles, the Green and Gold postgame show, all of that stuff. Just simply Bill Michaels Show, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. And you can also email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, simply thebillmichaels.com. You can download and listen on the Zone app if you're outside of one of the areas that, we don't happen to broadcast into. You can find us in the Zone Madison, WOZN, the Zone Madison. And then obviously anytime after the program, you can always find us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all that kind of good stuff as well. And bring in Ben Kenny. So it wasn't shocking. Coach Bud was fired, but deservedly so.
It's, I understand it. I'll say that. I get the move. It had to have been done after speaking with Giannis. And clearly when he spoke after the loss, he was somewhat unhappy with how the games were managed and how they played defense.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, when I look at why they lost, I look more to the guys on the court and how they choked away games and the fact that supposed stars just completely disappeared when it mattered. It's more, I understand why they did it. I don't think I would have, to be completely honest. I don't think the problem was the head coach at the moment. And I don't know who you're going to bring in to make that much of a difference. But if at the end of the day it was because Giannis wanted it, then that's what you have to do.
If Giannis thought this is what we're going to do and this is where the direction we need to go, then that's going to happen. Look, remember it was when they went to hire Coach Bud and they brought him in before they made the announcement. They had him sit down to dinner with Giannis and Chris Middleton. And both Giannis and Middleton kind of gave him the thumbs up. This is a good guy. This is a guy we want to have. This is a guy we want around. This is a guy we can work with. And gave him the thumbs up, which gives you, as a player, more vested interest to see this guy succeed. Because you're the one that said he's good. So, if he fails, that means your decision, your aspiration to work alongside this guy, you failed as well. Now, I know the word failed is something that doesn't want to be placed into the vocabulary of Giannis, but they keep Giannis's brother. They've paid Chris Middleton. They've tried to put pieces around him. And again, I go back to that day that, they're sitting in a restaurant. Giannis says to them, you keep me competitive. You give me what I ask for, and I'll win you a championship. And he has. He's paid off on that. Absolutely. Now, he didn't walk in and go, I'll give you 1, not 2, not 3, not 7. I mean, he didn't do any of that. But he said, I'll give you a championship. And he has. For the first time in 50 years, the Bucks are NBA champions. But Budenholzer hired between that 2018-2019 season. You talk about a 5-year run. They went 271 and 120, which is a 69.3% win ratio. Which is overall is amazing. And maybe they're a little bit. How do I say this? Maybe they're a little bit shadowed because of the Green Bay Packers, because the Packers have been one of the winningest franchises in history. We in the state of Wisconsin, we are used to regular season wins and then postseason failures. That's what we've become accustomed to. We saw the Green Bay Packers in 2010, 2011 get the championship, and you thought, here we go. We got the ride. We got the superstar. We're going to get back. It's no problem. Incredible team the next year, 15-1, and then right away beaten, drubbed out, and haven't really sniffed a lot of it since. Same thing with the Milwaukee Bucks. You win the championship after 50 years. Here we go. Going to get back. No problem. Haven't sniffed the championship since. And as fans, we're to the point of we don't care about the regular season. Now, the bar has been set, and rightfully so, but for championships and postseason and such. But I agree with you that when you see the failures, and I don't want to say the lack of and the question was asked last night, did the guys look flat-footed? Did the guys look slow? Did the guys look uninspired? Did the guys look unenthused, uninterested because of Budenholzer in the postseason? As they went down, now you get mean mug, which is a pant load of crap, because it doesn't do anything for anybody but fires up the fans, and that's about the extent of it. It doesn't do anything on the court. You're not mean mugging over anybody. The only time you really do anything of substance is if you hit a 3 consistently in a guy's face and he can't defend you, or you take a couple of different Euro steps and you end up dunking on a few people and they just can't handle you, the physicality of it. But beyond that, who cares? So the Bucks get all hard. They scream and yell. They get energized. They get enthusiastic. The crowd gets into it. That's great. But to have home losses to where your energy zapped like that because Jimmy Butler just out-willed you, either Eric Spoelstra, and I've always said I think he's the best coach in basketball. I think Spoelstra is by far the best coach. He gets the most out of the least. Hasn't won championships. But for where that team has been and the way they fought and the heart that they've showed and the matchups that they give, he's an X's and O's guy that's straight up cut from the cloth of Pat Riley. 100%. He's probably one of the best coaches out there. So to out-scheme and or just out-heart the Milwaukee Bucks on their home floor to beat them, that was one of those losses where you just can't get past it, And I'm sure Giannis couldn't get past it. I like I said, nationally, a lot of players, former players, have spoken out against Budenholzer as far as the X's and O's and the timing of certain things. And even, when you listen to some, it's not necessarily all of the X's and O's, because most people will agree with you, Ben, that it's the players on the court because they just look disinterested and they got beat. They got out hustled. They got out energied, whatever you want to call it. But there are certain times when a coach has to see the energy slipping away, the moment slipping away, or to be able to stop it for a second and then, let's say, regroup and put your guys in the best position to be successful. And Budenholzer had been highly, 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 highly criticized for not doing those things specifically. So now the search is on for the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Thomas says the Haslam effect is in full swing. The Haslam effect is in full swing. I don't know if it's the Haslam effect. I think it's more the Giannis effect. Pac fan, I did say Spoelstra hasn't won a championship. He hasn't won a championship since LeBron left, I'll say. They won one down there in Miami. So, yes. But my point is he hasn't won one since that big three, the dream team of Dwayne Wade and company and LeBron, everybody left. So that's what I'm saying. Because he's won some with those guys, but he hasn't won anything since. And that's what he gets criticized for. Well, you're only going to win a championship if you had LeBron. Not necessarily. I think he's a tremendous coach because he's got guys and he puts them in position to win. James says, Bud's gone. They cleared out the office for Jason's not walking in. That ain't happening. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Bud is out. If you want to give us a shout. We got Jim Owczarski of the Journal-Sentinel is going to join us coming up here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk with Jim. He covers the Milwaukee Bucks. We're going to discuss with him his thoughts on all of this and how things have went down and what he believes to be the downfall of Coach Budenholzer and specifically more so the Milwaukee Bucks as they efforted into this postseason. So we want to get into that. Hey, a reminder, we are going to be in Viroqua later tonight, Kickapoo Creekside for dinner this evening. Tomorrow at the Agri Center from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then the Bill Michaels Open, 1 o'clock tomorrow. Shotgun start at a Viroqua Hills Golf Course. Really, really, really looking forward to all of this. So as soon as the shows are in the car, off we go. In the car, off we go, heading out. So really looking forward to it. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff Levering and wife Ashley love their new patio door from Powell Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
It's like having a brand new kitchen. It's so bright. It's so clear. I can see the kids outside playing.
I love the roll screen. The fact that the screen is on the inside, no drafts. It's a game changer.
Get 0% interest for up to 48 months at Powell Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and have everything installed in as little as a day. Visit PowellWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Offer ends 5/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hearts of fire, streets of stone, modern warriors, satellite horses of chrome, taste the wild.
The weather's going to get warm. We know it. It's right around the corner, and summer in Wisconsin's not complete unless you get out on the water. And our friends over at Skipper Bud's reminding you that you got to get your boat summerized. As much as you got to get it winterized, you got to get it summerized. Get the oil checked. Make sure it's changed. Everything runs smoothly. Get some of that bad gas out of there. Throw some sea foam in it. Let them do the tune-up on it. And if you're just looking for a boat, whether it's new or used, pontoon, yacht, cruiser, whatever it happens to be, they've got them. Boat sales, service, and storage. See my buddy Todd. He's the general manager over there at Skipper Bud's in Pewaukee. Call him 262-544-1200, 262-544-1200. That is Skipper Bud's out there in Pewaukee, and it's just good people. Hey, I got to give a shout-out to my buddy Joey Albanese. I was driving past. It was sad. I was driving past his place yesterday because his Albanese's restaurant was right up the street from me, and we were going down to the concert last night, down to see the band Disturbed, and we were kind of like, it's early in the day. That meatball sandwich would go really good right now. That Italian sausage, so good. And drove past. It was sad. Right up the street, Albanese's Roadhouse. Being knocked down. The bocce ball courts are being knocked down. Lamppost is down. Getting ready to kind of, I guess, bulldoze the building and put in a car wash. It's kind of sad. But Joey texted me this morning. So I told him, I said, I'll give you a shout out. He now has free time. So congratulations to him on the retirement. He's out. He texted me this morning. He might swing by at some point over here at the house. But this morning, on a beautiful day like this, he is outside throwing mulch. So I said, hey, while you're out there throwing mulch, I'll give you a shout out. So Joey, enjoy your retirement, man. And I'll tell you this. I miss seeing your face. That's for damn sure. But more so, we miss swinging into the restaurant. So always a great place. Always a smile. Always like family. Good stuff over there at Albanese's restaurant. So the search is on now for a new head coach for the Milwaukee Bucks. And I understand where some of this is coming from. So this one is from Mike, who says, what's the difference between a star basketball player giving input and opinions to upper management to a star football player doing the same thing? When the football player does it, he gets slammed for it. Here, it's a great question, Mike. Because a star football player is one of 53 and only handles the football half the time. A star basketball player, superstar, can win you a championship. One of 15 can win you a championship. Can give you a championship window in your franchise unlike nothing you've ever seen before. And you tell me, who's more valuable, Giannis or Aaron Rodgers? And here's the other thing, Mike. The way Giannis has done it, and perception becoming reality basically upon my own opinion. So I'm not even going to base this upon anything else we've ever discussed on this program, all right? Based upon my opinion, Giannis has done it in a fun, kid-like manner, a very likable person, at least perceptually outside looking in. He has been an ambassador for the city. He has been a common guy, pulling into Chick-fil-A, pulling into Culver's. He's done things work ethic-wise that we have witnessed that have been the rumors of, wow, this guy really cares. This guy is incredible. He owns a condo, if you will, a high rise here in Milwaukee, but he lives in Milwaukee. He's here pretty much year round. Now, he can go live anywhere else, but his family lives here. He's got a great family life. He's got his kids. You can see the guy at Summerfest. You can see him on the streets. You can see him around town. And again, I cannot find many people as a person, as an attitude, that could ever rip Giannis. Rodgers, up until, 3 years ago, he was 95% of that. But there seems to be an air when it comes to Aaron Rodgers that he got good, he knew he was good, and he wanted to tell you how good he was in a very backhanded and condescending way at times. Giannis was questioned about the word failure and gave you a undeniably philosophical answer, almost verbatim from what Kobe Bryant had said years ago. There was a tenacity to him that he doesn't want to accept failure. He wants to continue to strive for greatness. We all appreciate that, 100%. Rodgers has taken it upon himself numerous times to blame everybody else around him. Giannis wants to work with everybody. He wants to condition with everybody. He wants to get into the gym on the continuous and bring guys with him. Rodgers has blasted off-season workouts. He doesn't need to. Let somebody else do the work. So do I negate Rodgers' opinion over Giannis's? No, I really don't. But the best description I've ever had given to me, and this goes back years, 20, 30 years. My father and I, we were fishing, and I can't remember what I said, but I said something to him, and it's an old saying, so I don't give my dad credit for it. He's just the one that brought it to my attention because I've heard it numerous times since. But I said something to him, and he turned to me. He put his pole down for a minute. He turned to me, and he said, tell me your favorite meal. And at the time, I enjoyed steak and mashed potatoes and chuck roast and all that kind of stuff. And he said, okay, take a chuck roast. Put it on Mom's fine china. Mom makes that good gravy like you like. Oh, yeah. Puts it in the gravy boat. Serves it to you with the really nice utensils. Our silverware set right out of the hutch. Oh, yeah, okay. She brings you that corn on the cob you like from up at the farm. Absolutely, right? Then you get that big piece of chuck roast. You get the gravy and the mashed potatoes. You got the corn right there. And then she comes out with that bowl that from grandma. She's got these really nice bowls. And she puts a piece of the cobbler in there, or apple pie, because I like both. Apple cobbler, apple pie. Puts it down. She goes, and then she puts it on our lace tablecloth right there on the table. I'm like, yeah, what's the point? And he goes, okay, now put the chuck roast, the mashed potatoes, the gravy, the cobbler on a dirty garbage can lid. He said, son, it's the same meal. It just depends on how you deliver it. It's not very appetizing, is it? And I said, no, it's not. And I got it. I got that point at that point in time. I understood what he was saying. There's ways to go about things. So the message can be exactly the same. The delivery can be either really good, fine china, or another one that's just a pile of crap. The message is the same. But it's the presentation and the way you bring it that's either going to get you recognized for positivity or recognized for negativity. And at times, Aaron Rodgers is the garbage can lid of the message. That's the difference between Giannis and Aaron Rodgers. That's my take on that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Want to hit us up, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. 877-867-1670. Let's do this. We're going to get Jim Owczarski on. I want to talk with him about this. Jim has covered the Milwaukee Bucks for years now. We want to get his opinion on all of this. So stick around. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to come back, talk some more Bucks basketball. Jim Owczarski of the Journal-Sentinel joining us next. Ready.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The roar of racing is back at Road America. IndyCar, Xfinity Series, Superbikes, Vintage. The 640 acres of land in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin will shake with the roar of engines. Get your tickets now and secure your spot. Camping sites and corporate hospitality space is available as well. Get your 2023 season pass, individual race tickets, and all the information at roadamerica.com. That's roadamerica.com. Road America, America's national park of speed.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. Hey, our friends at Kemp's. Kemp's, everybody knows Kemp's with the dairy products right here in the state of Wisconsin, and they are based in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. They're looking for good people right now, in case you did not know. Maybe you are one of them. I would assume you are. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers for production and cooler employees, also some maintenance technicians, starting at $23 an hour and goes up from there. Plus, new hiring sign-on bonuses are being offered for certain positions. So if you are looking for a job, you're looking for a career, you're looking for a new career, Kemp's in Cedarburg, Wisconsin. Give them a shout. Go to Kemp's, K-E-M-P-S, Kemp's.com. That is Kemp's.com. The bottom of the page, you're going to see the word careers. You click on that. And then you can go ahead and fill out all your information, upload whatever resume you need, and send it over. And our friends over at Kemp's, they want to get a hold of you because they are hiring, they're interviewing, they're doing everything right now, right here, right now. Get a hold of our friends at Kemp's, K-E-M-P-S, Kemp's.com. Kemp's since 1914. Tremendous dairy products right here in the state. Let's bring him in now. It's our guy on the ground, so to speak, Jim Owczarski of the Journal-Sentinel. And he now joins us to talk a little Bucks basketball. Jim, did you see it coming? Was it an obvious thing, or did you think, maybe he's going to hold on for another year?
I guess both. I mean, I don't think there's any surprise here. I would not have been shocked if, the Bucks elected to sort of take a Spurs approach, if you will. But in the broader context of just, look, this team has won the most regular season games of any team in 5 years. And yes, there's a championship in there, Bill, but on the satellite view, 3 of those 5 years, the team didn't even make a conference finals as the best team in basketball. And obviously that first trip, they had a 2-0 series lead. So, when you look at it as a whole, and also realizing this group probably only has 2 years left, it's easier to change the coach than the roster. So it makes total sense. And now obviously the process is, what do you do? Who do you find that can kind of handle the weight of that expectation going forward?
Who is that? Who is the guy that you think might be able to handle that expectation? Because there's a lot of speculation going on out there right now who may be the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, or at least a lot of want from fans as to who would be the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks.
It is the question. Obviously, I know fans are shouting for Toronto's Nick Nurse. They saw that up close, 5 years ago when the Raptors beat the Bucks. But maybe what's more interesting about that, Bill, is Nick Nurse was a first-year head coach at that time. And while you could say the Raptors maybe didn't have the same sort of pressure from afar, but maybe internally, Bill, they brought Kawhi Leonard in for that. I think that was a championship or bust season for them, and he performed. And what I mean by that is yes, Nick Nurse probably should be considered, but I wonder if that informs John Horst a little bit, that a first-year head coach may be able to handle it. Look at Darvin Ham in Los Angeles. First-year head coach. We could say that the pressure on his shoulders may be more, may not be different than what the next Bucks head coach would be. So on one hand, I would want to lean toward an experienced hand guiding this team. But recent history also shows that maybe the right person, regardless of experience, can also do it.
Was Budenholzer, because I've sat here, Jim, and I had my own thoughts, and then I watched and listened to a lot of former players. One of which went as far as to say the Bucs won a championship in spite of Coach Budenholzer. When I listen to them and they say, you have to call a timeout, you have to play this defense, you have to put this guy on this guy, this is where they're straight. And players know. Players know. They have a different insight than what we do. Do you think Budenholzer made that many mistakes to warrant that level of criticism on the continuum to where this team maybe started listening to the outside? Maybe Giannis listened or Middleton listened or Holiday listened and started to say, wait a minute, maybe this guy isn't the guy to guide us.
I don't think that this is a team that really pays much attention to outside noise, Bill. I think they're, quite frankly, they're grown. I don't think that they try. I mean, I'm sure they hear stuff, but they're their own players, veterans. I do think, at least in this particular series, Bill, I mean, there were just some things that were inexplicable. The lack of timeouts, for instance. You can't go home with 1 in regulation and 2 in overtime. We can debate the basketball strategy of taking Brook Lopez off the floor in regulation, but perhaps, Brook should have been defending the inbound. And Giannis is sort of your rover under the rim because he could close faster on a five out sort of set. Some of that was just too in your face to ignore.
Mm-hmm.
Although the in spite of Budenholzer thing is a little bit of revisionist history, Bill. I mean, I literally just pulled up a story that I wrote during the finals of PJ Tucker extolling the virtues of Mike Budenholzer changing from game to game, from series to series, of Jeff Teague, who had played with him in Atlanta, saying, yeah, this is a guy who's changing and adjusting more than he ever did in Atlanta. So I don't know maybe what's happened in the last year or 2 years, but I think to say that about a championship is maybe a little bit of just piling on.
Now, when you look at this team, like you said, that championship window might be closing maybe a year or two with the majority of these guys all together. Then what? I mean, I'm sitting here listening today, and we're going to hear the comments later on after the top of the hour with outsiders saying that Giannis may not even want to come back to Milwaukee, which I find almost laughable because this has been his only American home. He loves it here. The people love him here. They're paying him more money than God. I know Giannis years ago walked in and told John Horst and the contingent, hey, you put the guys around me and I'll stay and I'll win you a championship, which he's done. But I can't imagine that Giannis in any way, shape, or form is itching to leave Milwaukee. If anything, I think he wants additional people to want to come to Milwaukee. So give me your thoughts on keeping this team together, more so the linchpin that is Giannis.
Yeah, there's a couple of things there, Bill. Yeah, I think, look, his status and the nature of the NBA conversation is always about what's next. It's always about what superstar is going to leave where they're at. So the Bucks and Giannis are not immune to that. I think, generally speaking, such conversations are, again, rooted in the drama of it, the talking points of it, as opposed to actual fact. Giannis has 2 years left on his deal. In the basketball world, a lot of people view that as 1 year, right? There's this off season,
Mm-hmm.
There's next season. And then if he elects to not extend, some real conversations have to be had with the organization. Does he actually want out, or is he just going to say, hey, I'm going to play this deal out and we'll go from there? And there's precedence there. I mean, Kevin Durant stayed in Oklahoma City. They made a final push, lost in 7 games in a conference finals. LeBron twice, once in Miami, once in Cleveland, stayed through his contract. Both teams went to finals, and he departed into free agency. So I actually broke this down. If readers want to go over to jsonline.com in terms of what options are on the table. Now, Bill, you mentioned a roster building. Look, the rules changed on April 26th. A new CBA came in. Was ratified by owners and players, and very simply, it's going to be impossible for the Bucks to roster build in 3 years,
right,
on their current pace. The league change the rules, and this team is going to look radically different. So I think if you're a Bucks fan and you're a Giannis fan, you have to look at these next 2 seasons as the window, and then a different window may have to open or begun to be open in 3 seasons.
What, in your opinion, is the likelihood that in 3 seasons, Giannis is still a Milwaukee Buck?
Look, I think this offseason, this hire has a lot to do with that. I think this ownership change will have a lot to do with that. That's a radical change in the organization. If you think about it, from Wes Edens assuming governorship again to Jimmy Haslam and D. Haslam coming in as owners to a new head coach, that's a lot of change for a fairly stable organization. So I think, Giannis just wants the chance to win a title. So how this coach connects with him, how this front office is able to maneuver to the degree they can, Bill, will say everything. I mean, as Giannis often says, I can't predict the future, but I feel fairly certain if the Bucks are either winning championships in the next 2 years or very close to it, that will work highly in their favor in him, continuing to stay and work here.
Jim, I know you got to run. I only got a minute, but I just want to ask you real quick. Did Giannis want this move? Did Giannis want Coach Budenholzer out, or did he just agree to the decision to move on from Budenholzer?
I don't think I don't think he's the type of player to advocate for anyone's job loss, to be honest. And I think whenever we hear from Giannis next, he'll only have good things to say about a guy who won a title and helped him develop into a 2-time MVP. But I also don't think you make this move unless the best player on the planet is okay with the direction. That's just the power that all of players of that stature wield.
Jim, it's always good. Go enjoy the outdoors. I know you've been busy, and it's going to be a weird off season, and we will touch base again soon, man. Enjoy the weekend, pal, okay?
All right. Thanks so much,
All right,
Phil.
buddy.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you later. There you go. Jim Owczarski of the Journal-Sentinel joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline. And when you talk about the moves that were and then weren't made, the timeouts that were left in your back pocket, trying to stem the tide of losing that game, watching the energy be sucked out of the building by one particular player on another team, and your superstars cannot match that energy. It just, you could kind of see it. There was a lot of question, and I'm not one to call for the firings either. And anybody that's ever listened to me knows that. But at the end of that series, I watched that, and it was not one of the, because I have friends that were pissed, texting me, F this, dropping F-bombs all over the place, just passionate Bucks fans. Not crazy stupid, just passionate Bucks fans, okay? But I sat back and I watched this, and I thought, am I watching like Dead Man Walking at this point? Am I watching a coach that's just kind of very quietly sinking below the surface, like about ready to be gone? And as I watch the end of that game, and then you have your own thoughts. You and I sit here and we watch games, and whether in person or on television or whatever, we go back, we check them out on the internet, we pay attention to certain plays and scenes and such. And I went back and I kind of started to look at that, and I thought, I think I'm going to reserve my judgment to see if people smarter than me bring this same thing to the forefront. And then sure enough, the next day it started to happen. You're watching the NBA channel, you're watching the commentary, you're reading the paper, you're watching Get Up, you're watching First Take, you're watching all these NBA Live and all this stuff. And you kind of go, okay, what I saw is what everybody else saw, and it's even exacerbated in detail by former players and coaches. Coaches are one thing, because coaches have an opinion, but players, they know. They're the ones that are on the court. And then I thought, okay, is this going to be a get-out-of-jail-free card that's going to be used? Or is this last year was your get-out-of-jail-free card, it's time to make a change because we need to go further with this team than what we are? So, and I know there was some family tragedy and such regarding Bud, and maybe his mind wasn't there. I don't know. But when you're being paid a ton of money to be on that stage at that particular point in time, I get it. They're human beings. I understand it 100%. We all saw it with Favre right after his dad died. The humanity side of things takes over. Whether you have a great game or a poor game, any side of it is understandable. But I thought, this might be the beginning of the end. And certainly it was. Now the search is on. 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, feel free. Go ahead and do so. 877-867-1670. Thanks to Jim Owczarski, the Journal Sentinel, for joining us for a couple of minutes. Always appreciate his input. Always appreciate it. Good stuff. Hey, our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. It's going to be a barbecue kind of weekend. I don't care if you get some rain or not. Doesn't matter. Going to barbecue. Going to be outside. Grills, charcoals, gas going, all that kind of good stuff. Get a hold of our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. BurnPitBBQ.com. That is BurnPitBBQ.com. They are veteran-owned. They started out as a little small business in a garage in Racine, Wisconsin, and they have grown and grown and grown and grown. And finally, they've got their own building. They've got their own warehouse. They are considered one of the best veteran-owned businesses in the country, and it's all because it started right here with you, the people right here in the state of Wisconsin, and listening to this program. Go to burnpitbbq.com for sauces, rubs, hot sauces. They've got it. You can get it. Again, burnpitbbq.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff Levering and wife Ashley love their new patio door from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
It's like having a brand new kitchen. It's so bright. It's so clear. I can see the kids outside playing.
I love the roll screen. The fact that the screen is on the inside, no drafts. It's a game changer.
Get 0% interest for up to 48 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and have everything installed in as little as a day. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Offer ends 5/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
oldest continuously operating track in the world. That's Great Lakes Dragaway. We've got some tremendous racing here in the state of Wisconsin, but drag racing is down at Great Lakes Dragaway, Union Grove, Wisconsin. And if you have the need for speed, season passes for the 2023 race season on sale right now. Call them 262-302-2138, 262-302-2138. That is Great Lakes Dragaway, greatlakesdragaway.com. And down in Union Grove, we appreciate them being a part of the program. Big sponsor of the motorcycle ride and our veterans as well. And it's a great place to just go kick back on a weekend, have some fun, or even during a weekday. You can actually rent the track. You got some off days coming up. You and all your race friends get together and go check out the Need for Speed. That's greatlakesdragaway.com down in Union Grove, Wisconsin. 877-867-1670. Let's go to the phone calls. Let's go to Mark listening to us in Milwaukee. Mark, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for taking my call. I kind of saw the bill or the Mike Budenholzer firing coming. But with that said, I was just wanted to get your opinion on what do you think the team's going to do this offseason to retool it a little bit? I was really surprised. Jay Crowder was obviously rusty, but we didn't use him at all. And I thought he was coming on board to help us make a playoff push. So in your opinion, do you think some guys might get moved? I'd like your expertise in this.
Boy,
thanks again, and
appreciate it. That's a great question. Right now, they're 20. As far as cap space goes, there's 27 million over. They're 27 million over right now. Giannis making 45, Middleton making 40. Drew Holiday getting 36.8. A lot of the guys that you're really counting on. Coming up, they're going to be making some serious cash. Hell, Bobby Portis is getting 11 or 12 million bucks. Connaughton's 10 million. So when you look at a guy like Javon Carter, he's got the player option. So does Chris Middleton at this point, as a matter of fact. Both of those guys have the player option for the upcoming season. I don't know if Javon Carter's going to, figure, hey, I didn't, get any playing time. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You've got Jay Crowder coming up for the 2023-2024 season, sitting at about 20 million bucks. Brooke Lopez would be a cap hit of about 20 million. And then after that, you get down from there. But when I bring up a guy like Javon Carter, Chris Middleton and company, they have the player options. I don't know what the interpersonality workings are, because I think as individual players, they're good. They get along. They're a good team. They've got an energy. They've got a level to them. But what we saw this postseason was the inability to match a more youthful energy. All these guys are getting up there in age. Except for Giannis, of course. But Lopez is getting up there, and every year we wonder, is this going to be the year that he ends up retiring? You look at a guy like Chris Middleton, you're wondering, what's he got left in the tank? I don't think Drew Holiday, when it comes to Drew Holiday, he's 32, going to be 33 next year. He's been in the league, 14 years, I think. So maybe you try. The only thing that I can say is this. They are not going to go out and find a bunch of free agents and start bringing them in. That's not going to happen. What you may see is a trade of 3 or 4 teams where everybody gets a need and or an expiring contract. The Bucks are not they're not into finding an expiring contract at this point. That's not what they're looking for. What they're looking for is youth, exuberance, and contribution. So I would, if there's a position I'm going to bolster, it's probably going to be, again, you're looking for a shooting guard. You're looking for a shooting forward. It's tough to say, go find a defender when your team doesn't play defense beyond the arc, but the defender's got to be able to shoot. You've got a lot of guys on this team that are pretty good when it comes to taking the last shot in clutch moments or bringing your team back or hitting big buckets, but nobody that's deadly. You don't have that guy. We've seen guys like a Butler, but we've seen guys like a Tyler Hero at times. You look at a guy like Jordan Poole, who's playing right now with the Golden State Warriors. I'm not saying that's the linchpin, but when you've got the ability to go deep into your bench and bring it in and be able to have points that are going to be contributable points in big moment buckets, you could say Connaughton would fill the bill. You look at some of the other shooters. Grayson Allen had a couple of big buckets in the postseason. I just don't think they have a lot of room to go out and rebuild this team without making it a 3 or 4 team trade. I just don't. We all know what you need. You need to figure out a way to get these guys younger and play better defense. Do you move on from Chris Middleton? Do you move on? You can't move on from Middleton because Middleton is Giannis's guy. That's his buddy. You don't want to mess up that apple cart. Drew Holiday's been a contributing member, and Drew Holiday had a tremendous season. It just looked like he ran out of gas at the end. So it's a great question. It's a great question. I think you're mixing up interchangeable parts at this point, hoping for a different chemistry and a different energy. You're going to want to hear, though, the knock on the city of Milwaukee and the Bucks franchise when we come back. Going to want to hear it. Stay tuned. We got a lot more. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Milwaukee Bucks are in need of a new coach. The team fired Mike Budenholzer yesterday after 5 years leading the team, which included an NBA title in 2021. Budenholzer's regular season performance as coach was nearly unmatched, with the Bucks winning 69.3% of his games, but early playoff losses the last 2 years, including failing as the number 1 seed in just 5 games to the Heat last month, led to Milwaukee making this move. Bucks general manager John Horst said, quote, "This is an opportunity for us to refocus and re-energize our efforts as we continue building toward our next championship season." To the majors, despite home runs from Christian Yelich, Rowdy Tellez, Tyrone Taylor, and leading 4-0 going into the 7th inning, the Milwaukee Brewers would get swept by the Colorado Rockies, falling 9-6. The Crew would give up a 4-run 7th and a 5-run 8th to fall to 18-13 on the year. They have now lost 4 in a row, their longest slide of the season, and still sit a game and a half back of the Pirates for first place of the NL Central. The Brewers continue on in their West Coast road trip. They'll take on the Giants tonight in San Francisco with first pitch at 9:15.
Are you a non-union construction tradesperson proud of what you do? Did you know you're worth so much more than what you're bringing home today? Put the power of LiUNA union labor to work for you. When you join LiUNA, you get the pay you deserve, plus pension and healthcare benefits above and beyond your compensation. That's zero deductions for pension and healthcare benefits with LiUNA, because you're worth it. Learn more at liunawisconsin.org/join.
This weekend, the Packers will host their rookie mini camp. Their new additions include 13 draft picks, 12 free agents, and a host of tryout players. Up next for the Packers, the NFL will release their entire 2023 schedule on May 11th, and then OTAs at the end of this month. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome in on this Friday. We get to the end of the week, the Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Don't forget, coming up later today, going to be heading up to Viroqua. Looking forward to it. We do a lot with our affiliates, and we love every one of them. And today we're going to be heading up to Viroqua, Wisconsin, just a little bit south of La Crosse, a little southeast of La Crosse. And going to be heading there, going to be at the Kickapoo Creekside tonight for dinner. And then after that, tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., going to be over at the Agri Center. And then after that, we got a 1 o'clock shotgun start at Viroqua Hills and at the golf course. And the Bill Michaels Open gets underway. So if you have not gotten in on this, I don't even know if it's sold out. Couldn't tell you. I believe it was. But I did have somebody email me this morning and said, hey, can I still get in? I said, hey, look, if there's a spot available as a single, go for it. Maybe they'll squeeze you in somewhere. Call them 608-637-7615. But looking forward to Viroqua Hills Golf Course tomorrow and playing in the first ever Bill Michaels anywhere, for that matter. Not just at Viroqua, but first ever anywhere. Bill Michaels Open taking place tomorrow, and we're looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun, really a lot of fun tomorrow. And then after that, gonna do a little food, a little beverage, a little chat, maybe a cigar or two. It's gonna be a good time. Really, really looking forward to it. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number to get a hold of us. You want to find us over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels, at Ben Z Kenny over on Twitter as well. And on Instagram and Facebook, it's simply The Bill Michaels Show. Find us in both places. You can find us on YouTube, simply Bill Michaels Show on YouTube and on Twitch TV. And you can always listen to us on the app, WOZN, The Zone Madison. You can download us there. And you can listen on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, and Google Podcasts as well. Yes, James, listening to us in Milwaukee, he said, I watch every day on YouTube. He didn't even realize we were on 9:20 a.m. 9:20 a.m. in Milwaukee. But yes, that's where you go. Tell your friends. I get it all the time. People in Milwaukee go, I didn't even know you were back. Been back for a couple of years now. So spread the word. We rely on you. If you enjoy the show, tell people where we're at. We certainly appreciate it. So Windy, as they call him, Brian Windhorst from ESPN, talks about the state of the Milwaukee Bucks, the franchise of the Milwaukee Bucks, and what's going on kind of behind the scenes and the changes coming, and obviously the firing of Budenholzer. Take a look. Now, we respect his opinion. He's been in the NBA a long, long time. Certainly, he's covered a lot of LeBron, but this is Brian Windhorst on ESPN.
Yes, he is. Why? Yeah, why would he sell? He sold, number one, because he got $3.2 billion valuation.
Yes.
He bought for $700, sold for $3.2. That's pretty good.
That's a pretty good reason.
He also sold because he knew that there was problems coming. And it wasn't because of anything that the Bucks did or any mistake. When a team like this in a mid-market competes for 5 or 6 years, there becomes pressure. Giannis has a contract extension this offseason. Now, he's under contract for 2 more years. If he doesn't sign that extension, orange light, we got problems. They've got 2 free agents in their 30s, Brooke Lopez, Chris Middleton, with the repeater tax starting for them next year, and a bunch of new rules, which CJ knows better than anybody because the man negotiated the contract. The rules are set up to penalize teams that are high salary teams, hamstringing them, and they have to decide on a coach and whether to pay 2 30-year-olds, whether or not, and Giannis can't decide on his extension until September. It's the chicken and egg theory. The Bucks are in a quagmire, and we have the first move with the firing of Budenholzer yesterday.
So there you go. So Haslam buys a team. Lasry wanted to move on. $3.2 billion. You're gonna move on for some money, no doubt. And we kind of
was arguing that Lasry sold because he saw these problems coming.
Yeah.
There were 2 minutes before it where he way too long to play, but that was the purpose of what he was trying to say.
Yeah. And he may very well be right. He may very well be right. I mean, in the NBA, as opposed to, say, Major League Baseball, there is, like he said, a luxury tax, the cap, if you will. And the fact that you've got the double repeater coming up, you got some guys that are over the age of 30 you got to make some decisions on, and you clearly saw the team, not be able to compete with the energy, so to speak. And as he said, the chicken or the egg, what comes first? Do the guys decide that, hey, we're going to do this and that, and we're going to keep Giannis, and Giannis is going to make his decision to stay? Or do you bring back the guys because you don't want to lose Giannis, but yet Giannis hasn't made up his decision? Which I still think, and I said this before, that, and this goes back to when Giannis was eligible to sign the Supermax and stay in Milwaukee, and everybody had him pretty much painted out of town. He was leaving. He was off. He was going to LA. He was going to Chicago. He was going to New York. He was going anywhere and everywhere but Milwaukee because of the bias towards just the name of the city, Milwaukee, for lack of a better term. So I still think a good portion of me says Giannis sticks around. But if it is a bleak outlook financially, and as Windhorst stated, there is a pressure now in this community, in this area, for them to win. And that window is 2 years. And the money's going to have to be spent. The roster's going to have to be manipulated. Is everybody happy? Maybe. Lasry saw the beginning of the end, which could be the beginning of the end of the investment that they made in the cinema. Because remember, I said this at the time. The guys from New York that came in and bought this franchise, they weren't buying an NBA franchise. It's great to win. It's great to hoist the O'Brien Trophy. But they were buying a city. Look at the Fiserv. Look at the property around it. Look at the Deer District. Look at what they've done in the investment in certain areas in this city. Look next door now to that beautiful new, upscale hotel that was just built. It's getting, they literally yesterday, they were unboxing chairs and putting them on the patio outside as that place gets ready to open. They are financial land investors to build up properties, build up communities, and reap the rewards. There's nothing wrong with that because it benefits the city. I have no problem with it. But it wasn't just, oh, by the way, we just want to buy an NBA team. No, it was we want to buy everything around the NBA team. So now the pressure comes. And if you're not winning basketball games and you're not, go back to the old days of from 2003, say through 2014, 15. Yeah, a little bit of hope, some rabid Bucks fans, but there were nights you could have shot a cannon off in there and you could have heard the guy that you hit on the other side of the building yell, ouch, because there was nobody there. Now, can you get players to not only recognize Milwaukee, but if indeed moves could be made to come to Milwaukee? This is Stephen A. Smith, as we all know, and I don't think that he is high on the city of Milwaukee at all, trying to say that Giannis, it's New York all the way. Take a listen.
Yeah. And so I think about Giannis, and I think about being in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a fabulous city, by the way. But it's interesting that we talk about this because as I look at the Milwaukee franchise, especially how they folded, been thinking about Budenholzer, most regular season wins, most postseason wins. 3 years, he had the top record in the league, even though all 3 years they didn't win the championship that year. I still contend they wouldn't have won the championship the 1 year they did if Kevin Durant wore a size 12 instead of size 13. I think they would have won the championship. Brooklyn would have won that series, and I think they would have won it all personally. That's just my personal opinion. But as I look at that landscape and I pay attention to that, the New York Knicks, if you're Giannis, don't you see these commercials now with Giannis? You see Giannis doing little good commercials? Then he got to go back to Milwaukee. And instead of playing in Tinseltown or playing in the Big Apple, playing in the Mecca, or playing in a major market or what have you, he got to be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Basically just knocking Milwaukee. I have always said one of the biggest stars in the NFL at the time was Brett Favre and played in the smallest market in all of Major League Sports. Sought after by everybody. Aaron Rodgers. Look at the amount of time network stations have dedicated to Aaron Rodgers, including, not just my network, but I'm talking nationally. Look at the time they dedicated to Aaron Rodgers playing in the smallest market in all of sports. You can be big anywhere. You can be big anywhere. The stage may be bigger in other areas, but the ability to be an actor on that stage, it doesn't matter if you're standing on a milk crate or if you're standing in the middle of the Metropolitan Opera Theater. It doesn't matter. Your ability is your ability to be a star. So to talk about the city and as if the city brings something additional to that particular player, I don't think so. How many bad players have rolled through the New York Knicks organization and they haven't been stars? They haven't done one damn thing. They've been nobodies. And nobody gave two damns about the New York Knicks other than Stephen A. Smith and Spike Lee. Nobody. Plenty of stars in the NBA. They had the New York Knicks. They had the word Knicks across their chest. Didn't mean two blanks. So this whole thing about what city you have to play in, the city is an amenity. It's like when you buy a house, you find the perfect house. and you're like, man, I really want this. And then you move into the house, and then all of a sudden you find out it's got a patio around the corner of the back of the house that you never realized existed. It's a nice little tuck away. It's an amenity, that's a pant load. Because with Instagram today, guys can do anything they want anywhere at all. So there you go. 877-867-1670. But that's the thought process when it comes to the outside looking in as to how many people, including Stephen A. Smith, feel about the city of Milwaukee. Now, let me say this. When he says Milwaukee's a very fine city, he says that almost tongue in cheek, because he has been down on Milwaukee for a long, long time. Long, long time. I think he loves the city of Green Bay more than he loves the city of Milwaukee, just to be honest with you. There's a lot of different players out there. I know that people would love to see, the Bucks go and get. We'll just kind of hang on to our thoughts. I mean, I know Damian Lillard is being talked about over in the live stream quite a bit. And guys that you would love to see brought in to play alongside Giannis. I guess if you had to look at the weakness of this team, what's the weakness of the team? What's the weakness of the team? I think the old adage is when you win a championship, what was it? Ben, was it like Rocky 3? And I hate to bring up your Rocky terminology.
Oh, come on.
What was the one where he fought Clubber Lang? Was that Rocky? It was Rocky 3, wasn't it?
I think 3.
I think it was 3. He fights Clubber Lang, and Apollo has to begin training him and says, "Hey, you lost your edge. You got to get back to what you were. You got to get back to being hungry." I think that's where they need to be. I hate to use that analogy because I know it's like nails on a chalkboard for you, but that's it. That's it. I mean, they dealt with Chris Middleton and his injuries all season long, and I thought Brook Lopez and Holiday both had tremendous seasons. It was in the postseason that things began to falter, although I think Brook Lopez probably had one of his better defensive performances. He was kind of a man on an island, unfortunately. But they brought in all these piecemeal players. But if you're thinking they're going to go out and bring in this mass overhaul of talent to put around Giannis, I just don't think that they had that ability to do so. So anyway, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670 on the additional downside. The Brewers wash, rinse, repeat went on same as usual yesterday out in Colorado. That was disappointing. They're now off to San Francisco, where they open up a series coming up later on this evening. But the Brewers in a slide that it doesn't appear that they need something, and I'm not talking one big game. They need something to pull out of the slide. We can talk about that. And, oh, by the way, if you want to talk to the optimistic side, Bucks rookies gathering, mini camp getting underway. So we got that as well. So a lot of good stuff going on in the northern region. Hey, if you are going to be tonight, pack the UWM Panther Arena. Pack it tonight. The last 2 losses for the Milwaukee Admirals have been overtime losses. They sure could use your energy tonight. Speaking of energy, heading down to the UW Panther Arena. And if you are, and you're going to enjoy an Admirals game, Stenny's is running shuttles over to the games. Stop in at Stenny's, 2nd and National, Walker's Point. Get something to eat, get some beverages, Liquid Courage, Liquid Voice, whatever it happens to be. Go get it. Get over to the UW Panther Arena. Enjoy some Admirals hockey. It is a hockey bar. It's the best sports bar in Milwaukee. It is the best bar in Milwaukee. That is our friends at Stenny's. Again, 2nd and National, Walker's Point. Check them out.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff Levering and wife Ashley love their new patio door from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
It's like having a brand new kitchen. It's so bright. It's so clear. I can see the kids outside playing.
I love the roll screen. The fact that the screen is on the inside, no drafts. It's a game changer.
Get 0% interest for up to 48 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and have everything installed in as little as a day. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Offer ends 5/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Got to tell you, last night had a blast. Went to the concert down at the Fiserv Forum last night, and they had 3 bands. Disturbed was the headliner, and then they had Dorothy, and then it was Beartooth. Now, Beartooth that's an acquired taste, because that is a whole lot of screaming and stuff, and so, there is a select audience for that crew, and I had never seen Disturbed in person before, but man, and I texted my buddy in the band, and I just said, hey, look, that's an experience. It's not a concert. It's an experience. They have a very strong, anti-depression and help those around you message, but it's a really powerful show. They really are a group of guys that just grab an audience, and I was overwhelmingly impressed last night after watching Disturbed. But they also, prior to that, had a beer tasting, and the beer tasting was for a place that we advertise with, and that's our friends at Steel Tank Brewing. And Dave and the gang, now I'll say this, if you're going over to Steel Tank, because they do different cuts of steak and meats on Saturdays, so go over there maybe tomorrow. But if you see Dave today, pat him on the head, because I guarantee you Dave's got a hangover today. Dave was lit up last night and having a blast down at the concert. But Dave and the gang at Steel Tank Brewing did a fine job in putting on the beer tasting last night. But you can find them on Robrook Lane in Oconomowoc, right behind the Exonia Bank off of 67. They're open Tuesday through Sunday. They do lunches, they do dinners, they do events, and they got a big music venue. Speaking of music, that they're installing over there in the back area of that building, which is going to be beautiful when it's all said and done. But check out our friends at Steel Tank Brewing Company. They are fantastic. But if you see Dave, just walk and go, "Hey, Dave!" And give him a little yell, and he'll probably grab his ears and go, "Oh my God, don't yell! My head hurts." He was having a good time. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Rookie minicamp's getting underway. Brewers lose again. Ben, you and I have talked about this. Do we just say wash, rinse, repeat when it comes to the offensive side of the baseball?
I don't know. I'm having a tough one with this series.
Yeah.
Because as soon as Garrett Mitchell went out, obviously it's gotten worse and progressively worse. And yeah, the guys that maybe performed at a way too high over expectation level have kind of fallen back to earth. But offensively, maybe. I'm really concerned about the bullpen. I think they have a real problem when it comes to just pure how many arms do you have that can actually get outs.
Right.
Because that was the big surprise as the season started.
Yep.
And the offense will be up and down. Yelich homered yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Which I need to mention. And they lose 9-6. Like, if you score 6 runs, you're the Milwaukee Brewers, you should be winning those games every time.
Yep.
And the bullpen for the last however long has just stunk. And there's nothing Counsell can do because the guys out there just aren't that good to me.
We talked about this at the beginning of the season, that the Achilles heel, the unknown, was the bullpen. And you're right. When they got off to the fast start, we thought, oh, wow. Suddenly you started looking at the numbers of that bullpen, and the numbers, they had the lowest ERA in baseball. They had the most outs per at bats in baseball. They were lighting it up. And it's like, since then, it's just, I don't know whether it's because of use. Again, you have some different guys out there, some different arms. Maybe teams start to look at what guys throw, their deliveries, their tip and pitches, whatever it happens to be. But teams are teeing off on them. And you're right when you talk about who do you want to bring in that has the consistent ability to get outs. And that's been part of the problem. But, you know, the offense, like I had mentioned yesterday, you get 6, you finally get a little bit more out of Christian Yelich. And I'm not going to lay this on his, at his feet by any stretch. But it's just been, we talk about it all the time. We talk about the consistency. It just isn't there. But the bullpen has become the oh no moment. When a starter gives up 2-3 runs, and then all of a sudden you go to the bullpen, you see Craig Counsell coming out, you're like, oh God, here we go. And you start biting your nails. And that's been part of the problem, or the main problem recently for the Milwaukee Brewers. And like I said, they head off to San Francisco to start a series there over the weekend. And you just, at what point do you see this team begin to climb out of this? And they just don't seem to have it. And again, last year we talked about it with the consistency of putting it all together. Good teams put it all together. Good teams, and I'm not saying that, each and every day they're going to put good hitting with good pitching and it's going to be, wins and wins and wins. But, the character of a team, and what you're missing right now with some of your starters is the character of your team can be based upon your starting pitching, because this starting pitching rotation was supposed to be built to have to extend a win streak and snap you out of a losing streak. And bring you back to correct, because of, you're only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. And with some of the injuries they've had to the starting rotation, and obviously the injury, Garrett Mitchell going down and taking kind of the wind out of the sails and in that aspect, so to speak, they've lost a little bit here and there of everything. They've lost some of that youthful exuberance in the bat. They lost a starting arm or two. They lost some of the ability in the bullpen, and it's just, and the bullpen's starting to fold under the pressure. So it hasn't been good. The Brewers.
I feel bad for Counsell, if I'm being honest. I don't know what he could do in terms of the bullpen. Offensively is one thing, and I still think offensively they'll be okay in the long run as the season gets going. I think the moves, again, they made during the offseason were really positive, but I feel bad for him. I don't know how he manages this pitching staff and bullpen, because there's no one aside from Devin Williams that you can rely upon to get outs. Even Bryce Wilson, who's in 9 games, he's pitched well. Like, I don't see him as a guy that I would completely rely on. And then the rest of the pen is just the ERA is skyrocketing.
Yep. But like I said, every time Counsell comes out of the dugout, and people want to blame Counsell, and that's not fair. I mean, he's just kind of working with the the task at hand, but he comes popping out of the dugout.
Blaming Coach Bud. It's like blaming Coach Bud for Chris Middleton disappearing from the playoffs.
Oh, well,
and Holiday.
Yeah, you can't blame Bud for that. That I will give you. Where Bud tends to take the heat is the ability to recognize the moment via an adjustment, a timeout, a move that puts your guys in the best position to be winners. Now, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know if guys say, no, I'm more comfortable doing this or more comfortable doing that, because that can be, something as well. But ultimately, somebody had to fall. And, as you heard from Jim Owczarski, and you heard in the Brian Windhorst interview, and you heard in the Stephen A. Smith comments, that best record in basketball. I mean, it's not just best record in the East, best record in the division, best record in basketball. And they are just a regular season juggernaut. And then they get to the postseason where you get into really competitive situations, and just the moves that are made or lack thereof tend to be exacerbated because their moves that don't get made, don't get done, aren't correct. And your team is suddenly on the outside looking in after having such an incredibly dominating season. And the window of opportunity, while you have Giannis and the guys together, is beginning to close. So I agree with that. Where Counsell, he's trying to make moves. He's trying to do anything to be able to throw something against the wall and watch it stick. But when you feel bad for him, because when you pop out of the dugout, it's funny. If you watch Twitter, you'll watch people that'll begin to say, okay, you got to go for this guy, you got to go for that guy. There's not I agree with you, Ben. There's not a consensus. There's nobody that says, oh, you got to bring this guy in. Oh, you got to bring him in, because this guy can get outs against lefties. This guy can get outs against righties. This guy gets outs against this and that. You can't do it, because they don't have that level of consistency to be able to say, absolutely, we got this. Right now, when he comes popping out, like you said, Devin Williams is your guy, but Hobie Milner, Bryce Wilson, Cousins, Miller, I just who you go for. And you got everybody as a righty, except for Milner. He's a lefty.
Oh, don't get me started on Hobie Milner. He's been a topic of major angst in regards to Gabe Kapler years ago. And now it's funny that now I'm in Wisconsin, and now he's the only lefty in the bullpen coming out.
He's the only
not a
lefty
Hobie Milner fan.
But even as a lefty, in the matchups you would normally bring him in, he's not getting outs. He's not getting consistent outs. So you kind of feel bad for, you're right, you kind of feel bad for Counsell, because you're like, oh God, who's he going to go to? And here's the worst part about it. If you go by the vitriol that is spewed via Twitter, but then you watch when it doesn't work, of everybody saying, no, you should have brought this guy or should have brought that guy in, which nobody will say in the beginning. They'll all say after the fact and point the finger and say how bad Counsell sucks. But you tell me what the option would be, what the other thought would be that would be better. And there just isn't. You don't have that genuine go-to guy on the consistent. And I agree with you. That's part of the problem. Which may either one lead, because this is my buddy Landmark Steve says, is this going to be the downfall of the Corbin Burnes trade? Once this team starts to fall out of contention, are we going to see them start working hard on getting rid of Corbin Burnes in some type of 3 or 4 team trade to get enough prospects into this organization that's going to bolster the future? Landmark Steve, I don't know that, because if they're within a game or two, you can't trade them away. You may, now again, it depends on if you're a game or two of Pittsburgh and everybody's losing and everybody's faltering and you're one of the worst teams in baseball and one of the worst divisions in baseball and you don't look like you're going to win anything. But we've seen it before where teams that get in as a wild card, they get that 1 game win and they go on to have a championship run. But usually they have that level of starting pitching, which the Brewers do when they're healthy. Usually they have that level of offensive production, which the Brewers have when they've been healthy. So you just, at this point, it's just way too early to say whether or not they'd be buyers or sellers, and if so, why? 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. We got a lot more to get to this portion of the program. Brought to you by our friends at Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill. And at Curly's, they not only have terrific food, but they also have a lot of events out there that are really cool. Today's Cinco de Mayo. Obviously, everybody has Cinco de Mayo, so they're combining Cinco de Mayo with a fish fry on a Friday. So they've got Fish Fry Friday. They've got a great happy hour. They're right there on Lakeview Boulevard, and they've got old fashions and bang bang shrimp and all kinds of good stuff. That is our friends at Curly's Waterfront Pub and Grill. Again, Lakeview Boulevard in Pewaukee. And tonight it's going to be warm. It's going to be nice, and you can sit and watch the boats come in and out on the lake and just relax out on the patio. That's our friends from Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The roar of racing is back at Road America. Get your tickets, camping sites, or corporate hospitality space right now at roadamerica.com. That's roadamerica.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Our good friend Lisa Lee Ortel and Lisa Lee Ortel Real Estate. Lisa moves wi@gmail.com. You can get a hold of her. But she specializes in VA loans. She's a certified condo specialist. I got a couple of neighbors that are downsizing after years and years and years of living in the neighborhood. The yard and such, they just don't feel like taking care of anymore. So they're going to give Lisa a call and they're going to downsize. They're looking at a couple of condos in the area. And if you're thinking about doing it, she can do that for you as well. Maybe you're thinking about investment property and you want to go in that direction. She can help you out. That's Lisa Lee Ortel Realty, 414-617-6798. 414-617-6798. 414-617-6798. Get a hold of her if you're in Milwaukee, if you're in Waukesha, if you're in Racine County, Kenosha County, anywhere in that area. Get a hold of Lisa Lee Ortel Real Estate, 414-617-6798. She's a great person and great to deal with. And again, if you're a veteran, if you specialize in VA loans or certified condo specialist, you need that help. She's the one to go to. There you go. 877-867-1670. Give us a shout. 877-867-1670. One of the questions, Jason says, how did Garrett Mitchell have that much damage in his shoulder? He said, I know it's a little off topic with a torn labrum and such. Nothing to sneeze at. He's young, but it's all tough. Who was it? Was it Jimmy Nelson, I think, was the one that dove into second base and tore up his shoulder as well when he was pitching so incredibly good? I don't know if you remember back that far, Ben. Do you remember who I'm talking about? I think it was Jimmy Nelson.
I know Jimmy Nelson very well. He was always the very last starter that I would add to my fantasy team because he was, let's say, not valued very highly.
Okay.
But I do not remember the dive into.
God, there was one of the Brewers players who dove into, it was either second or first base and tore up their shoulder. And it can happen. First of all, it depends physiologically on the inside of your body and how you're constructed. Not everybody has the same density and such. So, but that's a great question. I don't know. Yeah, it was Jim. Jason says, yes, it was Jimmy Nelson. I commend myself for my memory then. There you go.
Jimmy Nelson he is Zach Davies adjacent to me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Sure. I get it.
Zach Davies might be a bit better.
He is a guy that he's the guy that you have to fill out your roster.
He's a classic innings eater.
Yes, and he happens to be that last guy. So the torn labrum, it happens. It happens. John says, do you think Atanasio is selling the team? No. Let me ask you this. Is there an indication that he is? Has there been any indicators out there that you could say this would lead you to believe that he's selling the team? I don't think there's been any which has been a discussion, but it's been more people asking, is he selling the team, rather than, oh my God, this is an indicator that he is selling the team. So I don't, not that I've seen. Who knows? Maybe there's some more to something that we're missing, but not that I've seen. Michael says, hey, Bill, you're going to be watching Formula One this weekend, or are you going to be watching the Kentucky Derby? Which would you prefer? First of all, I'll watch them both. I'll pay attention when I can. I'm going to be on the golf course most of the day tomorrow, and then doing stuff, eating and imbibing and such in the clubhouse after the fact. But the Kentucky Derby is a tradition. The build up to the Kentucky Derby it's all crap. They go through this whole breakdown and talk and discussion of the animals that are as if they are human beings. And you don't know. There are the horse whisperers and such, but it depends on how the horse feels that day. It depends on, the track. It depends on those around him. It depends on the atmosphere. It depends, okay, so what? They're like people in that sense, but you have no way to figure it out because they can't look at you and go, yeah, it's kind of crazy here. You don't know. I always love the in-depth analysis of what the horse is thinking. Here's what he is. He's thinking coming around the corner, he's got to get around that guy. I think the horse is just thinking, God, this little guy's just whipping my ass. If I just get around this thing quicker, he'll get off of me finally. And I can move on, eat some oats and hay. There you go. Hell yeah. I got some little guy jumping on my back and whipping my ass. I'm going to take him around Chick-fil-A 2 or 3 times until he finally gets off and I can get myself a sandwich. That's the way life works. So yes. I guess I could read into the mentality of a horse a little bit. So I'm going to watch the Derby. But the Formula One race, it intrigued me last year in Miami for about 8 minutes. I do enjoy racing. It is the Formula One, going back to the Netflix series last year, just blew up. I mean, just blew up. It gave the world an insight into race car drivers internationally that the world ate up, and they loved it, and it blew up. And that's the reason NASCAR is stupid and bowing to the likes of NBC, because they got to take their races on the road like Formula One. Because look what Formula One's getting. They're getting all the big time sponsors and the major money, and NASCAR's stuck. NASCAR's stuck for a lot of reasons. NASCAR's stuck for a lot of reasons, and they're just almost too long to list. But I'll pay attention to Formula One. It doesn't intrigue me a lot. I like watching NASCAR and IndyCar. But in IndyCar, I like watching the bigger races. I always pay attention to the Indy 500. That's one of my loves. That's one of my passions. It's where I got my start. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't watch every Indy race, just like I don't watch every NASCAR race. I think Sonoma is boring. I think the race inside the Coliseum out in California is boring. I think, they talk about Bristol and such, and I know that, wasn't it Bristol? They just had a race, and there was a lot of questions as to whether or not Bristol should even have 2 races anymore because the fans aren't showing up. But in essence, Bristol, they talk about Bristol, and this is the argument they made that I found interesting, and I'll only take a minute on this. They said Bristol is because, and I think if it's not Bristol, then I apologize that I'm getting my tracks mixed up, but it's a small track. But they put stands all the way around the track, and they can fit in, as they stated, we can fit in, 80, 90,000. We can bring in 86, 87, 88, 90,000 people into Bristol. So even though the stands looked a little empty, we still sold 50,000, 60,000 tickets. I mean, this was great because it's not in the heyday anymore. It's not 1998. It's not 1999, 2000, when things were just cranking, man, when it came to NASCAR, So Bristol, 80,000 seats available, and we filled it with 60,000. That's huge. That's the reason Bristol should never lose a race. 60,000 fans come to that race. 400,000 came to Road America and you pulled it from Road America to stick it in the armpit of the world that is that craptastic city that, for my opinion, should be completely nuclear bombed, blown up, blown off the face of the earth, grow up from cockroaches and start all over again, that craptastic city that is Chicago. And if you want to target, all you got to do is hit the giant toilet bowl that is Soldier Field. Boom! Drop that thing. Stick it in the ocean. But that's where you want to put a NASCAR race. Why? Because you feel like you're going to reach more people. It's going to be a cool event. You know, guys driving around the city, dodging bullets, dodging riots. It's going to be great. And then they're going to be told, because they're part of corporate America, they're the bad guys and they deserve what they get. This is a way to go. Yeah. So they're going to take NASCAR down there. NASCAR's got its own problems. That's how effed up NASCAR is. You know, Formula One, they're just overtaking the world. Meanwhile, NASCAR sits there, plays with themselves, beats their own junk on a wall, hoping something's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. NASCAR is what it is. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff Levering and wife Ashley love their new patio door from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
It's like having a brand new kitchen. It's so bright. It's so clear. I can see the kids outside playing.
I love the roll screen. The fact that the screen is on the inside, no drafts. It's a game changer.
Get 0% interest for up to 48 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and have everything installed in as little as a day. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Offer ends 5/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show continues on. I'm going to get into this quick email here in just a second. But that being said, I want to remind you that I got a buddy of mine who had called me. He's coming to town, and he's coming to town from Nashville, Tennessee. And he said, "Hey, where can I get a cigar and watch the Derby?" I said, "Look, don't worry about any other place. Go to downtown Waukesha and just find one of those big comfy chairs in the front, get the TV in front of you, sit down, have a stick. You're going to be good to go." That's Nice Ash, theniceash.com, theniceash.com. He's going to fly into town tonight. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss him, but he's going to head down to Nice Ash and check out some of the music tonight and then get his seat for the Derby coming up tomorrow. So it's a terrific place. And whether it's bourbons, whiskeys, hookahs, if that's your thing, they've got it all. That's the Cigar Bar, 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha, theniceash.com. That's theniceash.com. Now, let me go to this real quick. Hang on a second here. This one is from Jimmy. Jimmy said, "You incredibly pompous horse's ass." That's me. The city of Chicago is a favorite internationally. Incredible art museums, sports town. He says great restaurants. Culture is unbelievable. And have you ever shopped down here, you effing blowhard? I do want to stop him there. Jimmy, yeah, I've shopped that mile down there many a times. I've taken the walk, enjoy the stores. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jimmy. Didn't most of those stores just get looted and damaged? Wasn't it then the mayor-elect, that said, when asked specifically, does he condone the looting and the damage that was done? He said, well, you know what? Corporate America has been looting us for a long time. He like almost came out and said, it's the store's fault for being there. Yeah, we'll say, Jimmy, they used to. They did have great shopping. Now you can look at a bunch of empty storefronts with broken glass, taped up windows, that wafting smell of cannabis and pot flying everywhere in the streets. I'm not against cannabis. Hey, it helps a lot of people, man. Medicinal pot, medicinal cannabis, whatever it is, gummies, you take it, you enjoy yourself. I'm just telling you, the stench as you walk down the Magnificent Mile is overwhelming. I got a contact buzz, and I went into Starbucks and ate up all the scones. Just saying. He then goes on to say, how dare you live in such a crappy city like Milwaukee, where your own effing players march against the city that has supported them, while our team tries to build towards another championship. You fired your head coach after winning a championship. Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. Do you not understand what the word history means? I will take any insult you want to fling at me, but don't bring me examples. There was a show, a documentary written, produced about a coach that won a championship only to be fired. It was called The Last Dance, those 3 words. Do you remember that? I'm just throwing it out there. He says, all you're known for is the Bronze Fawns, Laverne and Shirley, and being fat and drunk. Enjoy your mistake by the lake. I'll take Chicago any day of the week. Go Bears, bear down. Well, let me, another thing. Jimmy, I must correct you. Anytime I say bear down, you're either giving birth or taking a poop. One of the two. Just so you know. Okay, so can you stop? You gave bad analogies, but I had to read your note verbatim on the air because, first of all, it deserved it in so many different facets. It deserved it in so many different facets because, one, the arrogance that just spews from your grill or from your fingers, and secondly, your examples are just so filled with hypocrisy and crap, it isn't funny. So I just wanted to bring that out, okay? So when you give me we have great shops, have you ever been on the mile? I had to stop because I almost burst into tears laughing after watching what took place down there this past weekend. So, just, oh my goodness. Yeah, boy, that was not good. Just, Ben, did I do okay keeping my composure and reading his email?
Yeah, I guess. I got nothing.
You know, he brought it. See, like I would expect more from like a Philly fan. A Philly fan would bring me something more than that, right?
I would, and that's why the city of Philadelphia shouldn't be discussed on the show. You know.
But what I'm saying is that this guy, he's not even intelligent. He's just spewing stuff. You know, I would expect more from a Philly fan. So 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. Oh, man. Oh, man. Hey, speaking of great things going on in downtowns, it's the Milwaukee Admirals coming up tonight. I mentioned it earlier. Don't forget, they're back on the ice. It's do or die time for the Admirals. Get down there and support them. UW Panther Arena. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com for all tickets and events and such coming up. MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That's MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. We'll be back coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Bucs are looking for a new head coach. That's after firing Mike Budenholzer yesterday. Following 5 seasons, Budenholzer took the club to the playoffs each year and was the number 1 seed 3 times. But in all 3 of those seasons, including this year, they failed to advance to the NBA Finals. Still, Budenholzer did lead the club to its first NBA title in 50 seasons in 2021. GM John Horst said in a statement yesterday that making the change is difficult. Said they were grateful for the culture of winning and leadership that Budenholzer helped create. They believe this is an opportunity to, quote, refocus and re-energize their efforts in trying to build toward another championship. Turning to the Brewers, they are in San Francisco. It's where they're going to open up a weekend series tonight against the Giants. Milwaukee's lost 4 straight coming in after getting swept by the Rockies. That included blowing a 4-0 lead yesterday when Colorado scored 9 straight runs in the 7th and 8th innings. It has the crew sitting at 18-13 on the year. Luckily for them, the rest of the NL Central also played poorly this week, so it has them sitting just a game and a half back of Pittsburgh for the top spot in the division. Again, it'll be the Brewers and Giants tonight. First pitch is set for 9:15.
For nearly 40 years, ABC of Wisconsin has been helping men and women transform themselves into well-paid, productive members of their construction teams. Today, we have 2,000 active apprentices in 10 different skilled trade programs, and we educate individuals in more trades than anyone else. To get your career started, go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the Packers are getting their rookie minicamp going today in Green Bay. Their 13 draft picks, 12 undrafted free agents, and tryout players arrived yesterday to get situated, be on the field this afternoon for the first practice, and then out again tomorrow. So far, 2 of the team's picks, quarterback Sean Clifford and wide receiver Grant DuBose, have signed their rookie deals. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, print.
Welcome back in. Hour number 3 of the Bill Michaels Show. Beautiful Friday. Weather outside looking awesome. Good stuff today. Good discussion today. It's been kind of a potpourri of things. If you want to get a hold of the program, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Find us over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Excuse me, at Ben Z. Kenny as well. Ben producing the program. Instagram and Facebook. Go to Instagram or Facebook.com. Simply The Bill Michaels Show. You can subscribe for free over on YouTube and on Twitch TV for that matter. Go to YouTube.com simply /Bill Michaels Show. Leave out the word the. Email the program, thebillmichaels.com is the website. thebillmichaels@gmail.com is the email address, and you can always get a hold of us and take us anywhere and everywhere on the app, WOZN, the Zone Madison, our flagship station out of Madison, and you can track us down in so many different ways: Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, good stuff. What else is on your mind today, Ben? Not that we're going to do the early segment of what did we miss, but we had the NBA playoffs last night. You saw Golden State just drill the Lakers, which leads me to believe that the Lakers are who we thought they were, and they are a team that's going to give you a couple of good games, but ultimately they're going to falter, and I'm looking forward to that, although I don't want to see Darvin Ham go down. Brewers lose again last night. Packers, we may hear from Mike Clemens. I was texting Mike during the break, and Mike is up in Green Bay, hoping to get a few Q&As with some of the guys as they get their first glimpse of life in the NFL at the rookie minicamp and what it's going to be like up at Lambeau. So we might be hearing from Mike. Coach Budenholzer fired yesterday. Has there been a headline that we have not covered at this point? We've talked about the Derby. We've talked about Formula One. We've even gone off a little on NASCAR for their issues. Anything else that we have not really participated in today?
I mean, it depends what realm you want to dive into. We got Terrell Hatton, Wyndham Clark, and Nate Lashley leading the Wells Fargo out at Quail Hollow in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And big news in Iowa City. My Hawkeyes, kind of. They landed a big time transfer from your Buckeyes, wide receiver Caleb Brown. So they're starting to turn into an offensive juggernaut.
Oh yeah.
Though I don't think many people care.
I don't think anybody cares. And correct me if I'm wrong, they still have the same play caller.
They do, yeah.
Kirk Ferentz's son is such an intuit guy. You know, he's writing up, dive left and dive right over and over again as we speak. So, yeah, that offense is turning into a juggernaut.
Look out for the Hawkeyes. That's all I'm saying. They got a new quarterback, new tight end, new wide receivers.
Okay.
The line should be good.
Okay.
If he scores 25 points a game, he keeps his job, which will be fun.
Right? You got NHL. That's going on as well. So, got some good, the Maple Leafs and Florida Panthers and such and going on. Panthers get the 3-2 victory. They go into game 3. Coming up, what is that, on Sunday, I think, at Florida, they're going to be playing. So you got that happening. You got the New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricanes going at it. So that's always solid. Dallas and the Kraken. I just like saying the Kraken. Kraken got a win last night. Or no, the Stars got a win last night over the Kraken, 4-2 in that contest. They get back at it again on Sunday as well. So there you go. Got some Stanley Cup stuff for you. Got a lot of good stuff happening right now. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. This is, let's see here. Jason says, even the Dodgers moved off of Bellinger. One example, when you talk about a la Yelich, at what point do they move from Yelich? And Jason says, no confidence in the front office and the people of Milwaukee. But here's the problem. What do you do? Let's just take it to that example, Jason, where they moved off of Bellinger. How much of Bellinger's salary did they eat, or was he a free agent? I don't remember. Ben, do you remember if Bellinger was a free agent or if they just moved him?
I think he was a free agent.
I think so too. Where what are you going to do with Christian Yelich? Unless you say, hey, look, he's being paid $29 million a year for the next, I think through 2028 or 2029. The only way you would move him is if you eat at least half of that salary. He really, like you said, he hit a home run yesterday. So he's got 4 on the season. And if he does 4 May, June, July, Ben, he'll get there. He'll get to, or no, he would need 3 more in August to get him over the 18 mark. So he's got to.
I'll do some math.
Yeah. Because this was his 4th, and they've been playing now for going on, 6 weeks? So if he does 4 every 6 weeks, that's not going to get him there.
Well, they played 31 games.
Okay.
And
so
that
a
is-
fifth of the season.
He's actually on pace for 20.88.
There you go.
So look out.
Look out. Now, he could get there if he goes on to one of those strikes where he hits 2 or 3 in a week, but the problem is the drought in between. He is, and I say this in jest, about the home run power, but he has gotten on base and he has scored runs. And the strikeouts have cut back. So, but that's why I said earlier when we were talking about the Brewers, right now the least of your worries is Christian Yelich. He's just consistently a 240 hitter, 230 hitter with very little pop, and he takes some walks. That's it. That's what you're paying for. It's kind of a paperweight, basically, where the Achilles heel of this team, and it's what we thought at the beginning of the season. When we sat down and really started to kind of contemplate the future of this team, we said that the Achilles heel was the bullpen because of the shakeup in the bullpen. Their starting pitching is solid. Everybody, now it's a shame that Garrett Mitchell went down and he's done for the year. So that is a disappointment. And now when you talk about a torn labrum like that and the reconstruction you have to do in the shoulder, man, that is one of those you just don't know or think he's ever going to be the same player again when you blow out a shoulder like that. You just don't, you don't think he's ever going to be the same guy again. It's one thing for a pitcher, and you know that pitcher will never be the same. But for a fielder, for a player, for a guy that needs to swing the bat, you don't think he's ever going to be the same player. You hope he is, but, you don't think it's going to happen. But as he went out and the balloon deflated, it seemed like everybody else around that balloon has kind of come crashing back down to earth. But Gary says, yeah, Yelich is not the reason they're losing baseball games. I completely agree. 100%. Jason says, do you think that Mark Attanasio has fulfilled his mission statement? And what are my thoughts on Stearns? I think if Stearns wants to go to New York, I think New York's always left the door open. And I think that that's his desire. I think it, will figure his way out. David Stearns, I think David Stearns brought in he opened the door to the actual in-hand, in-play use, the practical, everyday use of statistics, of analytics. And it goes from, circumstances and situational hitting and pitching and catching and launch angles and the pitching lab and all the things that the Brewers were kind of on the beginning with a couple other teams on the front cutting edge, which has now become standard throughout the rest of Major League Baseball. I think he brought a lot of that, introduced a lot of that into the culture that is the Milwaukee Brewers. And it went great with the mind and analytical mind of Craig Counsell. It worked hand in hand. It worked hand in hand. And right now, I think you're just seeing that this team, and going back to the owner, Mark Attanasio, this team is, I know they can pound their chest and say, well, this is the most money we've ever spent. This is one of our top 3, top 5 all-time salaries. And if I buy a car every year for 10 grand more than I spent, I can say it's the most I've ever spent. But if the car that I'm buying every year is a Chevy Cavalier or a Chevy Chevette or a Ford Pinto, and I'm just upgrading the Pinto while everybody else is actually out buying Lincoln Navigators and, Ram pickup trucks and all these high-end vehicles that, I'm not saying Lamborghinis and Corvettes, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Well, so what? It's kind of like when, and I appreciate what Doug Melvin and Mark Attanasio tried to do with CC Sabathia, but, hey, we offered the biggest contract in Brewers history, $100 million. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. Well, it is when the Yankees are already paying him offering him $135 million. And just to make sure they got him, they said, you know what? Is there anybody else bidding? No? We're New York. To hell with it. We'll give you $150. And CC's going to go, I don't know. Boy, that Milwaukee, man, they came strong with $100 million. Whew. Come on. I appreciate what they did, or at least tried to do, but to me, it was more PR than anything. So, has Mark fulfilled his mission statement? That's a great question. I will say this on the positive side of Mark Attanasio. The stadium he has spent a lot of money on to upgrade and to keep it current. He did put a lot of money together out of his own pocket for American Family Field of Phoenix, for the upgrade of what was desperately needed down in Maryville, which is not a great neighborhood. The only thing with the Brewers was timing. Had the Brewers wanted to leave Maryville 10 years ago, they would be the beneficiary of one of these spectacular new stadiums. But the timing wasn't there. The lease wasn't up. Other teams were starting to move, and all the municipalities in the area started to spend exorbitant amounts of money on these stadiums. And they do bring in fans. They do bring in a lot of, an influx of cash for a lot of those communities. It just so happens that the Brewers were timing-wise on the bad end of that stick. So instead of forcing their way out or going somewhere else or going to Florida, which I would never want to see happen, they said, look, if we can't, get it all ourselves and get cities to give us something new, they got a break from Maryville, and they took a lot of their own money and they upgraded an already very serviceable facility. And it's really nice. I like it. I've always liked Maryville. It's not a great neighborhood. You would want to, walk the streets at night, but going for a baseball game, no big deal. I don't mind it at all. The team has been competitive. The team has been hopeful. Every year in Major League Baseball, that's important because there's a lot of teams that going into the season, you're not going anywhere. You're not winning anything. You could keep your doors closed and decide to save the money, and you would have the exact same outcome as if playing an entire season. You're going to come in bottom 3 of your division. You're not going to the postseason. You're going to spend a lot of money on players. You're going to take the brunt and the abuse and the criticism and the finger pointing from your fan base. Players aren't going to want to, put everything into it unless they're playing for a contract because they know they're not going to win anything. You steal those little moments in a clubhouse where guys have fun together. You steal those little moments on the road where guys have a really good time, where it's a bonding moment. You make some friends, but beyond that, you're not going anywhere. So, that the Milwaukee Brewers have been competitive. We have expectations. We have some hope. I think this was the first year we kind of looked at it and went, there's way too many question marks for us to think that this team's going to do any damage. I think hope always reigns supreme, but once you start to see the slide, you go, oh, okay, it's kind of what we thought. You still have hope because it pains you as a baseball fan, as a Brewers fan. It pains you. You can say, see, I told you so. This sucks. They suck. And the more passionate, the more screams, the louder your decibels get. It's only because you're that much more passionate as a fan, unless you absolutely positively hate the team and you just want to stick it to everybody else that loves the team. But I think for the most part, the Brewers have been pretty competitive since he took over. Have they won a championship? Has not fulfilled that end of the bargain? No. They've come close. But what really drew my eye and my ear was last year during the whole Juan Soto thing, when the Brewers had a little bit of a rumor out there. What you needed. You knew it. I knew it. Ben knew it. Any baseball fan, even casual, knew they needed help. They needed offense. They needed pop. They needed some juggernauts. 3 guys in your lineup that can hit, can change the dynamic of a team. And you needed it, and they didn't do it. They gave us instead, 1, the trade of Josh Hader, 2, the pomp and circumstance of these guys are great and the prospects are amazing, only to watch them basically be eliminated within about 3 months, where you're told, yeah, this sucked. And oh, by the way, we got rid of $20 million that was about to go on our books for a guy that we know is going to earn a ton of money as a closer, as a premier closer in Major League Baseball. But yet, you're telling us it's not about the money because you're in on the Juan Soto deal. So you don't know what happened. I don't know. You're going to have to go ask David on that. Well, just so happens that David at the end of the season said, the hell with this. I'm out. Talk to you later. You're not going to throw me under the bus. Nay, not going to happen. The bottom line was COVID cost us money. COVID cost your business money. Everybody's losing. The market's going bad. Interest rates are going up. Money doesn't have the same value as it did 3, 4, 5 years ago. And the belt in a small market needs to tighten. Don't sell it to us any other way. Because as Brewers fans, when David Stearns, Doug Melvin, Mark Antanasio all sat down and they said, here's the deal. We're going to start to rebuild. We can't compete right now. We can't do this. We can't do that. We don't have the depth in the farm system. We don't have this. We need to start recultivating things and then build it back up. Can you bear with us for a couple of years? And the argument was, will it take 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, what? And in a couple of years, they turned it around. And we all said, you know what? We stuck with you. Yeah, hell yeah. Here we come. We're coming through the turnstiles like it's free coffee day and free beer day. We're showing up. Awesome. And then, it didn't materialize. And the money that we thought would have been spent wasn't. It was, but on a player that has, since the day he inked the contract, has not lived up to that contract. So I give you credit for spending the money, but it was a bad deal. So, Jason, that's a very deep, multi-layered, multi-leveled question as to whether or not you believe that Mark Antanasio has lived up to his mission statement the day he took over the team and began to preach to fans. I'd be interested to see what everybody else thinks. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Give us a shout, 877-867-1670. I would love to hear from you. Do you feel that the Brewers ownership has lived up to their end of the bargain? Take the championship run out of it. Take bringing home the trophy out of it. Just give me your thoughts as to the state of baseball and whether or not they've lived up to their end of the bargain in the state of Wisconsin, the city of Milwaukee. I'd love to know your thoughts. Also, when we come back, we got a little bit of Packers breaking news as well. Stay tuned. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Hey, if you're out and about tonight, stop over right, not far from my house. I can't throw a baseball that far, but Stoley's Hog Alley, open, running, good. Hoping that patio's open because when I get back, it's going to be in the 70s all next week. Damn, yeah. I'm looking forward to getting over there, having a cigar, having a beverage, maybe riding a motorcycle, taking it easy, whatever it happens to be. That's at Stoley's Hog Alley, Lake Country, USA, in Oconomowoc, in Summit, really, with great burgers and pizzas and such. Then there's Stoll's Old 109. Oh, up come the garage doors. The indoor-outdoor bar is sitting out there. You're on the deck. You're watching life go by. It's wonderful. Stoley's Hog Alley in Oconomowoc or Stoll's Old 109 in Watertown. Either place is awesome. And don't forget today, Cinco de Mayo and Fish Fry Friday. You cannot go wrong at either place. Stoley's Hog Alley or Stoll's Old 109.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff Levering and wife Ashley are thrilled with their brand new Pella patio door.
It's like having a brand new kitchen. It's so bright. It's so clear. I can see the kids outside playing, and it makes it comfortable for the life we live, which is an active one.
I love the roll screen. The fact that the screen is on the inside.
For the first time, our whole house actually feels like the same climate.
No drafts. I don't have to have any of those extendo cornhole bags anymore. It's a game changer.
I'm Gina Della from Pella, and if you order today, get 0% interest for up to 48 months. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, we strive to always give the best possible quality of service. Our experts provide an in-home consultation where they'll listen to your needs and help choose the perfect products for your home, which can be customized to fit any decor. The installation is completed in as little as a day with no mess and no hassle, leaving nothing but perfect results. Order today and get 0% interest for up to 48 months at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Offer ends 5/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. Rocking on. The question is, and this was a great question Jason just posed to me over on the live stream, but he said basically, is Mark Antanasio in the front office of the Milwaukee Brewers, have they lived up to their mission statement? And it depends on what kind of a mission statement specifically that you're, inquiring about, but I can only assume when it comes to competitiveness, wins and losses, money into the team, into the community, the whole thing. And so I gave you my kind of, 5-minute dissertation. I want to know yours. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Some news out of Green Bay real quick. Rob Domofsky saying they cannot take pictures, still photographs, in the Packers locker room. But the 5th round pick, the quarterback, Sean Clifford, has taken over and moved into Aaron Rodgers' old locker. No!
It had to be him, Bill.
Right?
Couldn't be anybody else.
Yeah, nobody else. You've got in the next row, you've got long snapper Mac Orzech, I should say, running back Patrick Taylor, linebacker Isaiah McDuffie, and Jordan Love, all in that row of 5. I know exactly where he's talking about. It's right when you walk in the front door. It's right off to the right-hand side. But that's the news. And I'm sure whether it's Rob or Mike Clemens or anybody else walking through those doors, it's a little weird. It's a little weird to turn your head, and that's Rodgers isn't there anymore, so I get it.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing for Clifford?
Clifford, it is probably.
I can't tell.
It's probably horrific. Is a cross. Well, I can't remember where Favre used to be. I don't know if Favre was right in that vicinity or not. I think he was. But that wasn't Favre's locker. That was never Favre's locker. Favre was a couple over, I think. But I honestly don't care. Just you kind of know where everybody is. At the one end of the room, it's a little darker than it is at the other end of the room. I don't know. Beyond that, I don't care. I guess if it matters if you need to get to Red Batty quicker, the equipment guy, because that's right near when you walk in when you walk in the main doors off to the right-hand side is the equipment area. And if you need something from Red, he can usually get it for you right there over the countertop. And the training room is down a ways, outside of the locker room area. And then when you walk and you make that left-hand turn to actually go into the giant oval locker room that is right, the first locker off to the right-hand side was always Aaron Rodgers. So Clifford's now got that locker. I don't know if there's something ominous to it or if it's an omen or if it means greatness or if it just means it's just somebody that's going to be a placeholder until somebody else great gets there. I don't know. But that's the big breaking news of the day coming out of Green Bay. Let's go to the phone calls. Let's talk to Ken listening to us in La Crosse. Ken, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Great day here in God's country. We're loving it. Your show is great.
Thank you.
I just wanted to check or touch base with you. I think you're onto something with has he done enough? Personally, I think last year when it was crunch time, Josh Hader deal, when they pretty much just went belly up because they knew they were going to have to pay him. And bottom line, they didn't want to do it. And what we got out of the deal, I don't even think was close. And going forward, I think the turnstiles, like you said, people are going. It's a great experience. The ballpark is fantastic. That's all good. But are we really any better off? I don't think so. I think we're a farm system. When we get good players in, all of a sudden, when the big contracts come due, when the man gets paid, oh, sorry, we're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm. So
that's just my 2 cents worth, but I just don't think they have done enough.
Appreciate the phone call. It's a good thought on many levels. Okay, let's start off with the overall baseball experience. From the day Mark Attanasio took over to where we are today, is the baseball experience better? Is the baseball experience better? I would say it is. The Jumbotron has been upgraded, the big screen, whatever. The ribbon boards were added. There is more interaction within the stadium. I just think it's an overall better experience. They've adapted. They put in the craft beer section down the right field line with, I don't know how many, 50 different craft beers, whatever your heart desires, whatever type you like. It comes with a price, don't get me wrong, but they have put that in. They have now redone the restaurant to be named later, which was Friday's Front Row Sports Grill, which I loved. But unfortunately, the service had gone down out there for a while. But still, I thought it was a great atmosphere. It was a good place to go. They've added the Top Golf, simulators to give you more to do inside the stadium. They've expanded the pro shop. I think the suites have been upgraded. I think overall the experience inside American Family Field is good. Can't deny that. So now you go to the product on the field. The product on the field, for the most part, has been competitive. It has given us hope. It has been exciting. God knows we've had a lot of exciting moments at American Family Field and for the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm short of winning a National League pennant even. I go back to when They knocked off St. Louis in St. Louis to get to the game in which they had to play the tiebreaker against Chicago in Chicago. And they beat St. Louis in St. Louis. They beat Chicago in Chicago. The city, you're knocking off rivals. You felt powerful. I mean, there's been this spirit around the Brewers for a while now. This expectation that they should be good. And you cannot deny, okay? You cannot deny that they've spent money because they did keep Christian Yelich. They did pay him. What he's done after that is on him. They didn't say, hey, you know what? We know you're going to suck for the next 10 years, but let's just give you money anyway. Nobody knew that. Nobody saw that coming. They paid him based off of the money that he had earned. And in addition to that, on top of it, you paid him off of what the expectation was going to be. He's the one that hasn't lived up to that bargain. So, yeah, they spent that money, but we know they can't spend money on everybody, you know? Now, there have been some players in baseball that have been out there, but, God, come on. I think there's only a handful of teams, maybe 4 teams that could afford some of these guys. Juan Soto, Machado, and Bryce Harper, and you start to go through this list of players that got huge contracts. You can't get in on the Aaron Judge contract. They're not going to get in on that. They're not going to say, you know what? He's going to be a free agent. Let's go ahead and call his agent up. We're going to give him $800 million over the next 10 years. I'm saying? They're not doing that. They don't have that ability to do that. So as much as we would love to say, well, they got to get in, what we would hope for is get our name out there to where it's serious. It's not just throwing out a number after the fact that they're never going to bite on. You'd like to see some more seriousness, right? David says, I don't think I've ever tasted a better $27 margarita in my life than at Brewers Stadium. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Hey, Dave, I paid $13 for one last night at the Fiserv Forum. Frozen even. I know it was kind of a girly drink to be drinking at a Disturbed concert, but I did. I enjoyed it. They had Casamigos. They threw some Casamigos in there for me.
Yeah, nothing screams Disturbed like a frozen margarita.
I know, right? I was drinking beer from Steel Tank first, and I'd had my fill of beer. Because they come in big cans, and I had like 3 or 4 of them, and I'm like, look, we got down there early, by the way, just so people know. We got down there early, and I'm like, I got to sober up, so I don't want to drink anything heavy. And I thought, you know what, I'll do one more. I did one single shot of Casamigos, and I sipped on that the rest of the night, and that was it. But yeah, I was sitting there in the stands, and people have their fists in the air, and they've got the devil horns in the air, and they're like, they're thrashing, and they got a mosh pit down below, and people are going, which I still don't understand. I've got to talk about that when we come back. But they're just circling each other, like they're swimming in a toilet bowl, just a bunch of dudes, and every now and then they'll hit a shoulder, It's almost like it wasn't a mosh pit like back in the day when Nirvana was cranking it out and people are throwing each other and body surfing and everything. This is guys, a couple of them, they're like shaking their heads and they're skipping. They're literally skipping. And they're skipping in a circle. One guy kind of hits the other guy. And Grissom looks at me and goes, they're not even hitting each other. I said, yeah, it kind of looks like they've all got to work tomorrow and they're all manual laborers. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but they're all looking at each other like, dude, don't hit my shoulder, man. I got to work tomorrow. Don't mess me up. Just skip with me. Skip with me, dude. So he just kind of wanted to see a couple of people with no job, nothing to lose, just run down in the middle of it and go, I got nothing. And just jump in on everybody and knock the pile over. But they were literally skipping in a circle. It was an embarrassing mosh pit, I have to admit. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Hey, if you are out, speaking of lacrosse, who our last caller, where he was from, I hope tonight he's heading out to a Buzzard Billy's, picking up a fish fry, doing it fine out there, shrimp even, right there on Pearl Street in La Crosse. And then afterwards, you head upstairs, go to the Starlight Lounge, get yourself another drink you're not going to be drinking at a Disturbed concert, whether it's a martini. You can get some hardcore liquors, bourbon, scotches, whiskeys, all that kind of stuff. That's fine. You can get that upstairs as well in that 1950s style cocktail lounge atmosphere. Hell yeah, that's located on the second floor above Buzzard Billy's on Pearl Street. So stop out there and get a terrific fish fry. Good meal this weekend. And then head upstairs to the Starlight Lounge. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The roar of racing is back at Road America. Get your tickets, camping sites, or corporate hospitality space right now at roadamerica.com. That's roadamerica.com.
It's a bird bash at Potawatomi. Thursdays, you could win up to $50,000 cash in the Bird Bash Game Show. Just play with your club card this May for a chance to win. Wouldn't you like to kick off spring with some tweet cash? Bird Bash, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. More info at paysbig.com/birdbash. Must be 21 years old to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Hey, our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. You know this time of year it's going to be a little bit funky. Open up the windows, you close the windows, open up the windows, close the windows. We understand all of that, but you want to keep the hot air out in the summertime. You want to keep the cold air out in the wintertime, and you want to beautify your home, and it becomes more valuable. It's got great curb appeal, all of that. If you're considering new windows, a new window, a new patio door, a new entryway system, whatever it happens to be, or a whole house renovation, or maybe you're building a house, no better place to go. No better place to go than our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. 0% for 48 months going on right now. The only way to be able to do this is if you go to PellaWI.com and schedule your free, no obligation, free in-home consultation. Go there, do that. Otherwise, you could also just give them a call, 855-PELLA-WI, 855-PELLA, 855-PELLA-WI, 855-PELLA-WI. There you go. Let's get back to the phone call, shall we? Let's go to Dwayne, listening to us in Oshkosh. Dwayne, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
I got smoke coming in my ears, Bill.
Okay.
And I'm going to make 3 points on the Bucks, and then I'm going to ask for your response because I think you're smart enough, not like some of these outside idiot sources nationally that don't know what the hell's going on.
Okay.
The best player on the planet missed 3 games in this series, Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
When the Bucks won the NBA championship, Giannis did not play power forward. He played the small. Chris Middleton played the 2, and we had the enforcer, Tucker.
Right.
I don't know why they didn't go to Crowder. So I think Crowder was hurt because I saw him in a couple games grimace when he got on the floor. The opportunity and that window for Chris Middleton is gone. I think the guy runs better. Defensively, he's not a force anymore. And he was when we won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not a force anymore.
Right.
And the other thing, and this is the toughest one, did anybody from the Bucks, John Horst, or anybody tell Bud with that incredible tragedy of losing his brother before Game 4, say, Bud, you got to sit this one out. Charles has got to take the lines tonight. He's got to, and nobody mentioned that. And I'm like, you got to be kidding. But it all starts with Giannis missed 3 freaking games.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
And
I
this
understand
wasn't
all
in
that.
and here's one other thing, Bill. Everybody thinks Miami was a ham and egger. They went to the conference championship last year.
Right.
So
Tell me
this.
this.
Ham and egger.
No. But tell me this. Do you feel that Miami is more talented than Milwaukee?
The way the Bucks looked going into the playoffs this year, physically, man, they were beat up. I would say no, but Jimmy Butler is a star. And the Bucks' problem, and you know this too, Bill, the Bucks' problem has been the same all year. They cannot defend the 3.
I completely
and
agree.
when they don't defend the 3, Jimmy Butler can roam wild inside because they're overcompensating outside. And Jimmy's a player. He's a Chris Middleton when Chris Middleton was Chris Middleton.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Dwayne. I'm sorry.
No, it just boggles my mind. I mean, Giannis missed 3 games, and the Bud thing. I didn't even know about the Bud thing. I think it broke because I think Darvin Ham was being interviewed, the coach of the Lakers, and he said, like, my condolences to Bud and his family.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I'm like, and again, that may fall on Bud. The only problem I had with Bud this year was the lack of development of the young man we drafted at 15 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Marshawn,
yeah.
Because we didn't have a backup shooting 2 or 3. And it looked like, but he looked like a deer in the headlights, Bill. If you watch those after game interviews, he was like, yeah, we didn't, we didn't call it. Yeah, okay. But my gosh, what happened is just like, that's a rust changer.
I appreciate the phone call. Let me kind of back up here. Okay. The death of his brother, the timing of, look, to lose your brother, there's never a good time for that. Okay. I go back to when Joe Philbin lost his son. The Packers were a favorite to win. And I remember talking with Troy Aikman, and Troy Aikman had said, and I've heard him say this numerous times in interviews, Troy Aikman had said that it was like, you hate to use the term funeral, but it was like a funeral around Lambeau Field when guys should have been energized getting ready for a playoff game, and it wasn't. It was, the loss. I mean, everybody loved Joe Philbin, and to see him go through that and such, and then it cast a pall over everything. So, yeah, that could have had an effect. Maybe Budenholzer could have said, hey, I'm going to step away and do some things family-wise. And I don't think anybody would have faulted him. Anybody, nobody would have misunderstood that. Everybody handles things differently. Everybody handles grief differently. I agree with you about when they won the championship versus when this year. Giannis was more active. Middleton was more of a player. And I've said when they told PJ Tucker, and PJ Tucker took that as an offense, when they said, go find out what you can get. Instead of coming to him going, man, you were an integral piece of toughness for the Milwaukee Bucks. Here's an offer. Here's what we'd like to give you. And coming forward with that, they said, go find what you can get and let us know. And PJ Tucker said, at that point, I had no intention of coming back to Milwaukee. And I think that was detrimental. So when they got Jay Crowder, I thought, here's PJ Tucker 2.0. Jay Crowder can shoot. We saw him play some decent minutes. They just didn't use him a lot. It was like they gave you this worthy toy to put on the court and play with and to see how he fit. And instead, you just kind of said, well, it's just another guy at the end of the bench. We'll just use him when we need to use him. And he was never really figured how to fit into the mesh, into the mix, And that was part of it. It never flowed right. So, and I'm getting off a little bit, and I do got to take a break. But, yeah, I'm not going to lay it all at Bud's feet. I'll tell you that. That I 100% agree with. But for the failures of a team that's been a front runner in 3 seasons in which they didn't even make the Eastern Conference Finals, something was going to happen. It's the 3 strikes and you're out policy. The shame of it was the unfortunate and tragic timing of not only the loss of the job, but also the loss of his brother. So maybe that's the best way to put it. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
It is that time of year. It's the time of year where, you're going to be thinking about heading outside. And our friends over at Master Z's, they have got everything for outdoor living, whether it's patio tables, Adirondack chairs, end tables, bars, fire features, heating, you name it, they've got it. Check out Master Z's. People come from all over because of the quality of this stuff. On Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield, 262-746-5931. 262-746-5931. It's where I go, and I'm going to have some new furniture delivered, not too far into the future. And I'm going to get to some bar stools for upstairs for the new studio. I'm going to get some stuff for outside. Master Z's, that's where I go, right up the road. 262-746-5931. That's Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. Master Z's. Good stuff. Ben, so you arrive at what time tomorrow to Viroqua?
I think 9:30.
9:30,
9 o'clock,
okay.
Somewhere in that area.
Just checking.
It depends how at it I am tomorrow morning, which is hit or miss.
Okay. I can go along with that. So we've got friends that are joining us there. Apparently, I'm trying to find where Hillsboro is in that area. We have been told to go to the Hillsboro Brewing Company out there. And I don't know exactly where that is. I'll have to find out. Trying to track it down. So I'm going to have to go back and look. But I got an email here and said, hey, if you and Ben are going to be there early enough, go to the Hillsboro Brewing Company. Now, you're not getting out there till tomorrow. I'm actually going to be out there tonight. And tonight, like I said, we're going to be heading down to the Kickapoo Creekside, where we're going to be tonight. Kickapoo Creekside. And we're going to be doing some dinner down there tonight. So should be fun. Always fun, as a matter of fact. Always fun to go down there. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Our buddy Steve says, happy Cinco de Mayo, Senior Unit and Ben. Not surprised to see Coach Bud let go. Thanks to him for bringing a long-awaited championship back to Milwaukee. It's too bad he didn't do more. With the talent that they have, they should have been in the finals at least one, if not two more times. In my opinion, there was too many crucial mistakes at critical times. The other thing I don't understand is why he didn't play Jay Crowder as the dog, which is why they traded for him in the first place. As I listened to the other sports outlets after the Bucs ouster, I heard several people mention that his mistakes were fireable offenses, which I can't disagree with. It's time to get the annual Cinco de Mayo taco bar assembled, as I do every year. Safe travels to Viroqua. Hope you have a great outing. That's our buddy Steve in Richfield. the taco bar. Not a bad way to go. Ben, I believe we have a taco bar at the building out there in Madison today too, don't we?
Yes, I can confirm.
Yes.
There are tacos.
Have you indulged in tacos yet?
I have enjoyed tacos.
Good
yes.
man. Good man. Maybe I'll grab one tonight. Who knows? All right, we got another hour yet to go, including coming up in less than an hour, about 45 minutes away. What did we miss? Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up. It's coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Bucs are looking for a new head coach. That's after firing Mike Budenholzer yesterday. Following 5 seasons, Budenholzer took the club to the playoffs each year and was the number 1 seed 3 times. But in all 3 of those seasons, including this year, they failed to advance to the NBA Finals. Still, Budenholzer did lead the club to its first NBA title in 50 seasons in 2021. GM John Horst said in a statement yesterday that making the change is difficult. Said they were grateful for the culture of winning and leadership that Budenholzer helped create. They believe this is an opportunity to, quote, refocus and re-energize their efforts in trying to build toward another championship. Turning to the Brewers, they are in San Francisco. It's where they're going to open up a weekend series tonight against the Giants. Milwaukee's lost 4 straight coming in after getting swept by the Rockies. That included blowing a 4-0 lead yesterday when Colorado scored 9 straight runs in the 7th and 8th innings. It has the crew sitting at 18-13 on the year. Luckily for them, the rest of the NL Central also played poorly this week, so it has them sitting just a game and a half back of Pittsburgh for the top spot in the division. Again, it'll be the Brewers and Giants tonight. First pitch is set for 9:15.
For nearly 40 years, ABC of Wisconsin has been helping men and women transform themselves into well-paid, productive members of their construction teams. Today, we have 2,000 active apprentices in 10 different skilled trade programs, and we educate individuals in more trades than anyone else. To get your career started, go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
Well, the Packers are getting their rookie minicamp going today in Green Bay. Their 13 draft picks, 12 undrafted free agents, and tryout players arrived yesterday to get situated. Be on the field this afternoon for the first practice and then out again tomorrow. So far, 2 of the team's picks, quarterback Sean Clifford and wide receiver Grant DuBose, have signed their rookie deals. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome in one, welcome in all. The final hour on the final weekday of the Bill Michaels Show for this particular week on Cinco de Mayo. Good to have you on board. 877-867-1670. Find us on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Ben Z. Kenny, on Instagram, simply The Bill Michaels Show on Instagram and Facebook. Find us over on YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. And you can find us on Twitch TV the same way. You can find us email, website. Download the Zone app, WOZN, the Zone Madison. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all kinds of different ways to track down the program. By the way, I'm finding out Hillsboro is east of Lafarge. So that's where Hillsboro is. It's pretty east, too. It's
that's good to know.
Yeah, it's east of Lafarge, which is Lafarge is east of Viroqua. You just take 56 to 82 and on over you go. And then you take 82 into White City. And you just follow 82 through White City, go around Dilley all the way up into Hillsboro. So there you go. Just thought I'd throw it out there. And then tonight, Kickapoo down near Reedstown. That I know. Thank you very much. And Bart says we got to go to Soldiers Grove. A couple of good places to eat and bars in Soldiers Grove. So, Ben, we've got invitations a flowing, man. We can go pretty much anywhere and everywhere at this point. Doesn't mean we're getting it for free, but, it is what it is. And then Kathy says, are you going to come up and get your picture taken in front of the giant corn cob in Westby? Isn't that next to the bowling alley, Kathy? I believe it's next to the bowling alley up there. I've done a couple of appearances at the bowling alley in Westby. So I think it's right next to. And I didn't even know they still had it. I can't imagine getting rid of the giant corn cob, but it's right there in Westby, which is just east of Coon Valley. And I can go from there. So kind of a geography lesson for the state of Wisconsin and the western portion of it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Find us. So Chuck says Clifford took Rogers' locker. Did Jordan Love take Favre's? Cheers. No. They've got like the specialty guys, a couple of defensive players, and the quarterbacks in that little section, which is the smallest. It's hard to explain. If you've never taken a tour inside Lambeau, inside the locker room, if you've never, I don't know, if you've never seen a picture of, it's hard to explain. It's like in the shape of a football. It's a giant oblong locker room, and when you walk in the main door, directly off to your right, it's a very vast space. You can fit tables and chairs and all kinds of couches and everything else in there if you wanted to. Right off to the right is where Rogers' locker was. And then you go maybe 5 to 7, 8, 10 lockers down. And then there's another little area, an opening where it goes into a back locker room. That back locker room is what's considered like the overflow locker room for guys that are street free agent coming out of college, trying to make the team. They're like practice squad guys. That's where they locker. They don't locker in the same expanse, in the same room as the 53 man. They have their own little locker segment, segregated area off to the side. And then after that, you go down that row and it's all defensive players. And then you've got an emergency exit area. And then around the next area is most of the offensive linemen. And then there's an entrance, as I'm circling around now, there's an entrance into the showers, into the bathrooms. Then there's a big main expanse, and that's all wide receivers and offensive players and stuff. And then that expanse leads into the saunas and the trainer's facility and everything. And then after that, it's defensive players back to the top that kind of caps off by your left-hand side. So, and that's doing the circle all the way around the locker room. I don't know how else to describe it, but we're paying a lot of attention to lockers and who took what. And to me, I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't know what else to do. By the way, picking up on the topic we had yesterday, Ben, Michael said, hey, one thing you did not mention, going to and playing St. Andrews, the old course.
That's on it. Oh, yeah.
That would be you. Absolutely, Michael. And again, I was specifically referencing more events here in the States. Years ago, God bless Herb Kohler. Years ago, I had been up there and got a chance to play golf. Herb didn't play with us, but he was with us. Marty Brenneman, who was the broadcaster of the Reds, and then the third base coach was Ray Knight. And that was back before Ray Knight and Nancy Lopez got divorced. And Nancy Lopez, obviously one of the best women's golfers of all time. Ray and Nancy were married, and Nancy had come on that road trip with the Reds. And God, this goes back to maybe 2001, 2002, maybe. It was a long time ago. And Pete Dye was still alive. Pete Dye was there. So it was myself and Ray Knight, Nancy Lopez, Marty Brenneman, and then it was Herb Kohler, who rode along with us, but Pete Dye was actually at the clubhouse. And it was right after Whistling opened. And we got an invitation because Herb Kohler at the time was buying the Old Course Hotel. He couldn't buy the Old Course. He wanted to, but it was not for sale. They were not going to give that up and sell it to an American. So he bought the next best thing, which was the Old Course Hotel and the adjacent course. And I don't even know if Kohler still owns that or not. I couldn't tell you. But the Old Course Hotel, he had Herb had asked us. He wanted us to be his guest. He was going to fly us over in his jet and take us and this was a couple of years later. He was going to take us to the Old Course Hotel and then play golf over it's near St. Andrews. But at the time, and I completely kicked myself for this. Marty was traveling with the Reds, and I was doing my thing, and we wanted to go in August, but August was Packers football, and that's where my dedication was. And it just, every year it seemed like it came up, and then it went away, and it came up, and then it went away. And then Scott Silvestri, who's a tremendous asset, and he is now with the Badgers, out with the Badgers program. Scott was one of the, kind of Herb's right-hand man, and Scott kept saying, Herb wants to take you, he wants to do this. Anyway, long story short, never got a chance to do it. And to this day, I kick myself for not saying, okay, let's go. To this day, I kick myself for not going. I wish I had. It would have been a wonderful experience. I would have completely destroyed golf in Scotland for forever. They would have kicked me out of the country to tell me never to come back, but I would have loved to have done that. So, Michael, until I get enough gumption to be able to say I'm going to take the trip of a lifetime and maybe do that, that is going to remain a regret. One of the more, personal regrets that I'm going to have the rest of my life. So, yeah, to play the Old Course at St. Andrews. Absolutely would have loved that. Would have loved it. 877-867-1670. What's the best place you've ever played golf, Ben?
I don't know. I mean, best is relative. It depends if you're talking about the literal rankings that people may have.
Well, let's just say the most prestigious course.
I don't have enough money, to be frank, to be playing the most prestigious, right? Because you talk about some of them and they're loaded. But the club I play in Vermont is probably the best I've played.
Okay. What's the name of the club?
It's called the Queechee Club.
I've never heard of that. And I heard of a lot of them. I've never heard of that.
It's right near Woodstock.
Okay.
If you know where Woodstock is.
I do know where Woodstock is, so I have to look it up. Never heard of that though. Huh. So you've never played any of the big courses then here in the state of Wisconsin? You never played Erin Hills or Whistling or anything like that?
I'm playing Erin Hills actually in a couple weeks.
Are you really?
Looking forward to that. Yep.
You playing by yourself?
A couple Sundays.
Are you playing by yourself? Or who are you playing with?
No, with a friend.
Okay.
Yeah, a friend got the hookup. So I'm looking forward to that.
When you get over there, you go see our buddy Jim Lombardo. And he is he runs a golf shop and a golf pro over there. And you tell him you're the producer of the program. Jim knows the show. Jim listens. He's a good guy. But Erin Hills now, bring your big stick, because depending on what tees you play, if you play the tips, that can go almost 7,500 yards. So, but it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful course. Very much. You'll be going to be happy with it, no doubt. 877-867-1670. Hit us up again, 877-867-1670. Sorry, we got a little bit off course there. Just Mail says the stadium course at PGA West or Erin Hills. Brandon says, I don't really care, but great show. Okay. This one's from Jacob. Jacob says, hey guys, love the program. The most famous course I ever had a chance to play was, he played the TPC out in Phoenix, out in Scottsdale. That's a beautiful course too. I've never played there. I've never played there, but I have been there. And the only time I was there was actually for a media event for Super Bowl years ago, but I've never played there. So kudos to you, man. That's awesome. What else do we have? Because we're getting people telling us where they're playing golf now. So, this is from Will. Will says, hey guys, a little bit of rain up here in La Crosse coming up tomorrow. Make sure you bring your umbrellas. What are your handicaps? My handicap is a driver. Ben, what's your handicap right now?
What am I at number-wise?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
I haven't played yet this year, so when I hit the tee box tomorrow, it's gonna be the first time I've swung a club.
I'm playing to a 16 at the moment.
Are you really? Okay.
A 16. Trending up though. It was bad.
How many times?
It was really, really bad.
How many times have you broken 90?
In my life?
Yeah.
Many.
Okay, good.
I did last weekend.
Did you really?
I played out of my mind.
Good for you. What'd you shoot?
85.
Oh,
so I don't think people care.
Wow, no. But that's good. Any golfer out there knows 85, doesn't matter what course you're on, is not a bad way to go. Take that and run with it, man.
I'm jinxing myself. I need to start deprecating myself.
Yeah,
further.
it's usually only 2 or 3 holes that completely cost your game. It's usually 2 holes on the front, maybe a hole or 2 on the back, and that blows your whole day. When you talk about adding strokes, I mean, if you can minimize those blow up holes, and because some people want to make up ground, and you just play it safe, usually 9 times out of 10 you'll end up breaking 90 if you're any kind of shot at all. And I'm just like everybody else, man. I'm like, oh, I can gain 2 strokes back. I can take this off. I can take that off. Next thing you know, you're in the water, you're dropping, you're in between 2 trees. Your 14th club is a chainsaw. You're in some area and some woman's coming out of her house yelling at you to get off her property because you're playing out of her gazebo. I mean, it turns out to be really bad. So I get it. Terry says golfed in the Bahamas on the Paradise Island Ocean Club. Ooh, now that's nice. I didn't play it, but I've heard about it. Very nice. Good stuff. Mark says, I want to go back to your question regarding Mark Attanasio and what he's done for this franchise. He has not done nearly enough. From what he's promised and what he's actually given us have been 2 separate things. To keep saying money is not the issue, yet to run the team as if you are cheap and running it on a shoestring budget is completely wrong. I used to like Mark Attanasio and buy into what he was saying. I just don't believe him anymore. He says, that being said, he has not fallen too far short of his promise to keep the team competitive. I have enjoyed a lot of Brewers baseball over the years. What I'm going to be sad to see is the day that Bob Uecker is no longer there. Remember, he is 89 years old. Yes. That I agree with. The day that Bob Uecker is no longer in the booth will be a very sad day. 100%. 100%. Just, anything else, take everything else out of it, just not to hear him. I mean, it's already different when he's not making the road trips, right? It's already just different listening to the games. And now you've got Jeff Levering. He's doing TV side and the radio. I used to criticize Reds baseball because they had like 15 broadcasters. You never knew who you were going to get. You didn't like half of them. And, there were times where it was just unlistenable and unwatchable. You just turned the sound down, had something else on in the background, or you cut the grass or just grilled out and just looked at the score every now and then. Because the broadcast, that is your conduit, your voice to the team. And so it's got to be good. It's got to be personable. It's got to tell stories. It's got to paint a picture. It's got to be right. And, there was times in Cincinnati where it was garbage. It was just bad. Marty and Joe on the radio you grew up with, just like with Uecker and Jim, Ken Sommerfeld's been around forever. So you always knew when you had Uecker, you had Kent, you had stories, you had fun. And the day that Bob is no longer there is going to be a very sad day. And to put something together after the fact is going to be very tough to do, especially when everybody sounds like everybody else. They sound the same. So there's no distinct personality to that right now. And I'm sorry if I'm criticizing, but I'm just giving you my honest opinion. 877-867-1670. Hit us up when we come back. Mike and Rockford, you'll be first out of the shoe. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show to get to. Stay tuned. We're coming back, and we're coming back right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff Levering and wife Ashley are thrilled with their brand new Pella patio door.
It's like having a brand new kitchen. It's so bright, it's so clear. I can see the kids outside playing, and it makes it comfortable for the life we live, which is an active one.
I love the roll screen. The fact that the screen is on the inside.
For the first time, our whole house actually feels like the same climate.
No drafts. I don't have to have any of those extendo cornhole bags anymore. It's a game changer.
I'm Gina Della from Pella, and if you order today, get 0% interest for up to 48 months. At Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, we strive to always give the best possible quality of service. Our experts provide an in-home consultation where they'll listen to your needs and help choose the perfect products for your home, which can be customized to fit any decor. The installation is completed in as little as a day with no mess and no hassle, leaving nothing but perfect results. Order today and get 0% interest for up to 48 months at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Offer ends 5/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Our good friends over there at Quick Trip reminding you if you're going to stop in as the sun starts to come out and be a little more prevalent, grab some iGogs, use your Quick Rewards card, and you are automatically registered then to win not one but two personal Sea-Doo watercrafts. And not a bad way to go. They're giving those things away at the end of the month. So if you're looking for a fun and adventurous summertime, it could be because of Quick Trip. If you don't have a Quick Rewards card, get one. Get your number all signed up. You can just go online and do it too. You can download the app on your phone, whatever it happens to be. But get signed up and start earning some of those rewards now. And you could be the winner of not one but two personal watercraft, courtesy of iGogs and our friends at Quick Trip. Good stuff going on over there at Quick Trip. Going to be hitting Quick Trip in just a little bit, as a matter of fact, as we get ready to gas up and head over to Viroqua. 877-867-1670. Fred wants to know, Ben, if there is going to be video of you playing over there at Erin Hills. He wants video of it.
Oh, it depends on the day. Completely.
A couple of shots of your game.
Yeah, it depends how I'm playing.
Okay. Just checking.
I would only ever make myself look good.
I just saw the text that you sent me. It's like something off of Family Guy. Should we do this? Should we do this in what we missed?
That's what I was gonna save it for, but in case you had expanded thoughts on it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay.
I thought you might want a little more runway with the story.
Yeah, here's the thing. Oh my God, that's hilarious. So we all know that coming up, if you haven't seen it already, you are about to get Charles over there in England. His coronation is upcoming. Now, the Brits don't think a lot of him, in case you didn't know. And did you see the soccer game where they were chanting?
No.
They were singing it. Who gives a blank about the coronation, who gives a blank about, I mean, they were singing it, like 80,000 people singing this. There's not a lot of people that are fans of the king to be. After it was Prince Charles and Diana, and after what happened to Diana, and then off with Camilla and such, and anyway, we know the whole history. So this is something that would happen in Family Guy, and they've got the visual of it. I'm actually going to retweet this because this is hilarious to me. Off of the Daily Record, a giant, as they call it, phallic symbol, I got to say it in the British tone, has been mown onto the lawn of the Royal Crescent ahead of the King's coronation. There is a giant green hunk of junk, let's call it that way. Somebody mowed. How did you not hear them mowing this? This is what I want to know. How did you not hear the mower going up on the hill in front of this mass area down by the Royal Crescent, which is they call it a crescent because it's a half-circled building, beautiful old Stoic building. In the giant lawn right in front of the place, somebody mowed a giant penis with its appendages hooked to it. And it's pointing at the Royal Crescent building. That's the best. So if you haven't seen it already, you gotta follow that. Oh my goodness. That is that is hilarious. I don't care who you are. That's funny. The giant phallic symbol has been mowed into the lawn of the Royal Crescent. You just picture some guy waking up in the morning, oh, I got to get me some tea. Oh, there's a giant penis pointing at me. Oh, no. What the hell? Or somebody flew a drone over it. Oh, my God, that's great. The creativity of the Brits. Take it to the lowest common denominator, and I'm going to laugh like crazy at it. Love it. That's funny. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Yeah, right. Underdog says, doesn't the king to be just look like a jag? He does. I'm sorry, he just does. At this point in time, Princess Diana would probably still be really beautiful and hot, and she'd be next to that old dude, and we'd all be going to her. We'd all be saying out loud, what does she see in this guy? What the hell, And obviously he wanted the arm trophy and ran off with it, and then the rest is history. So, oh well. You just don't see it every day. Ben doesn't send me stuff all the time where it just says giant penis mowed into the grass. Jason says maybe they were using an electric mower rather than gas. Good point. You wouldn't hear it. You wouldn't hear the loud, one-stroke, two-stroke engine over just an electric mower.
Oh, relax.
There we go. They use the electric mower in the middle of the night. Shh. Just hit the stop button. It's good. Okay. And we're doing something good for the environment. We're not using a gas mower to carve a giant penis into the lawn. Aren't we going green? Oh, my God. That's the best. That's awesome. 877-867-1670. 877-1670. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Oh, good guy. Let's get back to the phone calls. Let's go to Mike listening to us in Rockford. Mike, welcome to the program, man. What's going on?
Well, that's pretty funny stuff, Bill. But, one thing you might have left out, it could have been a UFO and did it like how they do crop circles, but they did it in the lawn.
There you go. Then again, Mike, it could have been a weed whacker. There you go.
A weed whacker.
Come on.
Oh, man. Listen, Bill, I got to tell you, switching gears to the Packers here real quick.
Okay.
This is going to be uncharted territory for all of us Packer fans because we've been spoiled by two great quarterbacks. I called about this a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to ask you something on your opinion. Okay, so we know that Jordan Love's been on the roster. This is going into his fourth year now, behind Aaron Rodgers. Okay, now he hasn't played. He's hardly played. He's played a little bit. Our expectations are going to be high because we've been spoiled. Maybe we're not spoiled. We just had this. We just were gifted the greatness of two quarterbacks. So our expectations are going to be high for us to be happy. So how much patience should we have with Jordan Love, and how long do you think Gutekunst is going to give him? Do you think he's going to give him? Let's just hypothetically say he plays this season and he does subpar. He has a below average season, doesn't do real well. Are they going to give him a next year? Or are they going to look to draft a quarterback in the first round? I mean, how much time do you think he has? I'll hang up and listen. And Bill, thanks for taking my call.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for listening to us down in Rockford as well. That's a great question. I guess, and I hate to be somewhat unsolidified on my answer, but I think you can't just look at the statistics as I've been saying, because it's how did he get from point A to point B? If he say he ends up with 15 interceptions or 20 interceptions, and 12 of those are, balls that just bounced off the hands of the receivers and they were just misses. They were just bad catches. You can't fault Jordan Love for that. The eyeball test would tell you that he's still a pretty good quarterback, while the statistics may say different. I think what I'm looking for, and I've stated this time and again, is does he see the field? Does he make decisions quickly? Does he put the ball in the best position for his guys to go get it? And does he make the correct read? Sometimes on the field you don't always see it. Sometimes we see it up above, where you'll see a guy that's going to have a pattern that he's going to run, and based on the route tree, based on how the defense is being played, and maybe Love doesn't see it, or vice versa. But I'm not going to base it. If they end up with only 3 wins and the offense is terrible, then you got to look at Jordan Love as maybe not necessarily even a quarterback, but more so a leader, and you can say, okay, this just was a bad experiment. How do I want to put this? If the Packers don't make the postseason and they're drafting top 5, 7, then yeah, if there's a quarterback that's available that you think, if you still have a question mark about Jordan Love, it would not be in the worst interest of your football team to take what could be another franchise player. If he's there, don't reach. Because I think you've got at least this coming year to see the progress that Jordan Love's made. They're going to give him every opportunity in the world to fail. You know the reason why? Is because this is the legacy pick. This is Brian Gutekunst's legacy pick. Out of all the picks, and he's had some really good ones, okay? Brian Gutekunst can lay his head on his pillow at night and say, you know what, I picked this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and these guys have been serviceable. Last year was probably one of my better drafts. I'm starting to kind of really feel it. I'm doing things the right way. We've cut some money off the books. I'm kind of reloading the organization. Okay, we're not in a bad place. He's done some really good things. Doesn't matter. All people are going to remember him for is he is the guy that made the worst time pick in history. If Jordan Love doesn't pan out, if Jordan Love becomes a Hall of Famer, he is going to be the second coming. if Jordan Love is good and they win a Super Bowl. But if he's bad, that's your legacy, man. You were the guy that set in motion the anger for another Hall of Fame quarterback to want out of Green Bay. And that's not something you want on your resume. So he's going to give Jordan Love every opportunity to succeed or fail. The failure side, they'll give him a longer leash, obviously, because of the position. What they did, they traded up to get him in the first round. But what would I consider to be a failure? 12 to 15 touchdowns, approaching 20 or more picks, just missing open receivers, putting the ball in bad situations, just not making a read quick enough where the guy is open for that split second in the hole in the window in which you should have thrown it, and yet you throw it late. Or, you make 20 good reads and 5 bad ones, and the 5 bad ones are the ones that continually cost you the game. Then it goes back to when Gutekunst said, we've seen him play quarterback. We think he can be a starting quarterback in the NFL, but he hasn't won anything. We haven't seen him be a winner. If he doesn't appear to have the ability to be a winner as well, that would be another area in which I would say, okay, I would have to question. And hopefully that explains it, but that's about the best answer I can give you. To me, it's going to be the eyeball test. And it's not through the first 5 games, mind you. It's got to be an entire season and body of work. We can get upset on game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, game 5. We can get upset. We can criticize. We can critique. We can look at it honestly. But the entire body of work throughout the season, are the same mistakes happening? Are the same reads that are misreads happening? Did he get better? Has he progressed? Has he gotten more confident? It's all the things you want to see out of a young quarterback, all those things. 877-867-1670. If you want to chime in like Mike did, go ahead and give it to us. Also, when we come back, Mike Clemens sat down with the Packers' first-round draft choice. Going to hear some of that coming up. All kinds of good stuff. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more. Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
As the weather warms up, so should your grill. Here comes the smell of sunshine and tailgates. For all your grilling needs, go to ScholzieFamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program, the Bill Michaels Show on the air. Glad to have you. Hopefully, you are enjoying the day. By the way, we'll do the Lucas Van Ness stuff coming up on Monday. We'll put more together with Mike. Mike's going to be this weekend at the Packers rookie mini camp, and we'll get into that discussion and kind of follow up with all of that come Monday. Otherwise, we're kind of trying to slam everything in here in the next 7 or 8 minutes, and it's just not going to do it all justice. By the way, Woj over there on ESPN talks about some of the possibilities, the new candidates, if you will, and the head coaching targets for the Milwaukee Bucks. Here's what he had to say.
Not just coaches that are available who don't have jobs now, former head coaches, assistant coaches in the league, but I think also if you're Milwaukee, you have an opportunity to take your time and see if there are coaches under contract elsewhere in the NBA. As these playoffs go on, can somebody become jarred loose? Is there a conversation to be had with teams or with individuals about coaches who might still be under contract? Milwaukee can take its time. They're going to take their time on this search. They have Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's nobody in the league who wouldn't love to coach him. And so I think this is not going to be a quick process for the Bucks.
I agree with him, just because you got to get it right. And here's the reason why, is we talked about this a little bit earlier with Jim Owczarski of the Journal-Sentinel, who's got a really good piece out today on all of this. And that is, you got to get it right because you got a 2-year window where you really have to kind of look at where the team is, where the league's going, the money you're going to have, the age of the players that are coming up, and when you're going to begin the reload process. So they're going to take their time and make sure because you got to get it right. You got to get it right. 100% agree. B-Rad says politics, blame game. It's never the player's fault 99% of the time. We'll haunt this team now. Who's going to want to come to Milwaukee? Hey, I know. Grab some junior college coach. Whole team played out of position in the last series anyway. Shut down Butler? No. Now, had they won, and then losing the second series, would he still have his job? Case in point, why LaFleur still has his job. It's BS propaganda to keep the fans in their seats. They got lucky when they did to win the championship the first time, and people refuse to realize luck is more than you realize. Case in point again, number one seeds as of late have been failing in every sport. Well, first of all, your statement of blame the coach, not the players, because all the players are making a lot of money. Well, I guess, you know, in B-Red, I understand where you're coming from, but what are you going to do? What you're going to fire everybody? You're not going to pay them? Can't do that. I mean, what are you going to do? You're paying a coach to try to put the cohesiveness of a team together to put them in the best position to win. And there were some mistakes down the stretch in the postseason. When you're winning in the regular season, specifically winning over some teams that are lackluster or not as talented as you know, coaches don't get credit for that. They're winning and doing what they're supposed to do. You know? When it comes to the rest of your statement about, you know, the comparison between LaFleur and Budenholzer, I don't think you can really get into again because, you know, one guy in Giannis can make the difference. Put it this way. If you don't have Giannis, do you have a team? Do you have a team that's going to be going to the postseason on the regular or pick to win the championship on the regular? I doubt it. You have a legitimate MVP that's going to win an MVP again, most likely at some point, barring mass injury. And he can throw the team on his back for the most part. He does need a little bit of help because he's not that outside gunner that can just keep coming down the floor and lighting you up, as we've seen guys do, like a Kevin Durant, like even LeBron to a certain extent, like a Steph Curry, like a Jimmy Butler. You know, now Jimmy Butler doesn't have enough help around him to win a championship, but he still does a lot with that team and can throw it on his back. So, they didn't get lucky. You never get lucky in a championship alone. You got to be good. You got to get hot. You got to be lucky, and you got to be healthy. All those things have to come into play. You got to be good first. Otherwise, you're not even getting close to that. You can get lucky in the championship. And everybody talks about Kevin Durant and having his toe on the line and all of that. And I understand all of that. But there's a lot of things in a lot of series that can go one way or the other, an out of bounds call or something off of the tip of a finger, and, you know, a team doesn't get the ball back, and, you know, thus the lead gets extended to 2 or 3 possessions rather than 1. So history's loaded with that scenario. But I don't know. I'm of the belief that everybody knows what's on the line. Players know what's on the line. And when you see one team just get out energied, you either have an aging issue where they just can't keep up, a complacency issue, or you have a coaching issue in which you're not putting them in the best position to where they believe it to be successful. You got to start somewhere, and you're not going to fire the players. That's the problem. You know? So I understand it, but I don't necessarily agree with it. It is what it is. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to wrap it up. A tremendous week with what we missed next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Jeff Levering and wife Ashley love their new patio door from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin.
It's like having a brand new kitchen. It's so bright. It's so clear. I can see the kids outside playing.
I love the roll screen. The fact that the screen is on the inside, no drafts. It's a game changer.
Get 0% interest for up to 48 months at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and have everything installed in as little as a day. Visit PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. Offer ends 5/31/2023.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. Another one left in us. Before we get out of here today, head off to Viroqua, the mighty town that is Viroqua, heading off to the western portion of the state of Wisconsin, and going to be doing some dinner there. And then the Bill Michaels Open tomorrow over at Viroqua Hills Golf Course, and really looking forward to it. So should be a lot of fun. Don't forget Kickapoo Creekside tonight. And then from 8 a.m. until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning over at the Agri Center. And then 1 o'clock, we're going to be teeing it off in the shotgun start in Viroqua Hills. So really, really looking forward to all of it. It is time now for What Did We Miss?
All right, Bill, it's actually time for a story time with Ben Kenny as I show my age and my maturity.
Okay.
All the knowledge I've accrued over the years. Earlier today, we were speaking about the Brewers bullpen, and specifically Hobie Milner. And I think this tale needs to be told to truly put in context what the Brewers have in the single lefty they have in their pen. So the date is March 30th, 2018. It is Gabe Kapler's first day on the job, first game, managing the Philadelphia Phillies. It's opening day.
Right.
Phillies are out in Atlanta. Aaron Nola's on the mound. And he is through 5 1/3 shutout innings. Phillies lead 5-0, 68 pitches, 5 1/3. And out comes Gabe Kapler. I think there's a man on first at the time. Freddie Freeman's at the plate when he was on the Braves. He comes out, he yanks Nola. In comes Hobie Milner.
Here we go.
I think the second pitch he threw, Freddie Freeman goes deep, 5-2. The Braves went on to win 8-5 in that game as the Phillies set the record for, I think, the worst bullpen of all time. And Gabe Kapler got a lot of pushback for it, but the worst thing that he said, the worst thing to come out of it was on Monday. He did spots with the big morning guy in Philadelphia. And when pressed about taking Aaron Nola out of the game with 68 pitches, Kapler responded, "Hobie Milner's nasty, bro." His first day on the job. And I swear that he did not have any supporters after that day.
Hobie Milner is nasty. That's the reason the Brewers have him.
He said he's nasty, bro.
Nasty, bro.
And
nasty.
That did not sit well.
Nasty. FaceTime me, bro. Don't tase me, bro. All right. Well, we'll put that in the back of the mind file and see if we end up getting any nastiness out of Hobie Milner before his time in Wisconsin comes to an end.
Well, obviously, I pulled up his stats since 2018, and you would not be surprised to learn that in 2018, he finished the year with a 7.71 ERA in Philadelphia. He went on to pitch in Tampa Bay, where he had a 7.36 ERA. Then on to the Angels. It always works with the Angels.
Sure.
8.10 with the Angels.
That wasn't that wasn't under Joe Madden, was it? Was that the Joe Madden?
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
2020.
Yeah. Okay.
And then he's been in Milwaukee for 3 years. He had a 5.4. Pretty solid year last year. 3.7 as a longer reliever. And then he's a 4.5 this year. But Hobie Milner is not nasty.
He's not nasty, bro.
For the record.
No.
So
okay.
Think about that when Hobie Milner gets a call to the pen to replace Corbin Burns in the 6th inning.
I'll be mulling it over.
The Alabama baseball coach scandal.
Yes.
Interesting twist. So he ended up resigning or being fired, and he's under investigation because he was in communication with a guy placing bets at Great American Ballpark. Ironically,
so they did find that out. Okay, because we were
ironically, it was on Pete Rose way. However, whatever piece of irony you want to throw onto that, but they said video surveillance caught him on the phone. Like
the coach?
Was he FaceTiming him? Yeah. That's how they caught him. Video surveillance, seeing the coach on the phone with a friend.
Okay, so he was on the phone with a friend who was at Great American Ballpark at a Reds game, placing bets in the kiosk, I would assume, during the Alabama-LSU game. But was he in the dugout? Was the game underway? Or was this, I would love to know.
No, it was before the Alabama game. It was bets
before
on
the game. Okay, gotcha.
From what I understand.
Okay. So what? Well, first of all, his career is over. So yeah, boy, wow, what a tangled web, right? Man.
I just want to know if he was on FaceTime because that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
If they look at the video surveillance and there's the dudes.
And there he is. FaceTime me, bro. I got some info for you. So okay.
I had to throw this in there. Speaking of failures and jobs being over, guess who is eyeing a return to Team Australia this summer?
To Team Australia. Baseball?
Someone who's suddenly healthy enough to play basketball again. It's Ben Simmons.
Is it really?
Headline on ESPN.
To Australia?
There's some event, the FIBA World Cup. Ben Simmons hopes to play for the Australian national team in this summer's FIBA World Cup. Sources tell ESPN.
I got to be honest. I did not realize he was from Australia. That's okay. But I'm still, what's more shocking, the fact that I didn't know he was from Australia or the fact that he's suddenly healthy enough to play, or at least feels he is? When he shut it down again for an entire season, is he still getting paid to do nothing, basically? Woof. Woof. At what point do teams just look at Ben Simmons and say, you're a loser, man. You are nothing more than a reclamation money pit that is never going to be fixed up and mean anything on the open market. God. All right, that'll do it for us. We are out of here. We are on our way to Viroqua, Going to be heading up to Viroqua Hills Golf Course tomorrow. Tonight, see you at Kickapoo Creekside if you're out in that area. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., we're going to be over at the Agri Center, and then at the golf outing tomorrow, and then back, and we'll all come back and rejoin each other come Monday morning. So until then, it's time for us to go. You have a great one. Enjoy the weekend. The weather's a little bit of rain, but for the most part, it's going to be warmer. It's going to be nice. We need it, right?